Today we have a story time of a kid who thinks a Freddy Fazbear is real, in his house, and out to get him. Yeah, I'm not even kidding. Leave a like on the video to claim your free nothing, subscribe, and let's get right into it. So we're going to call the subscriber who sent in this story, we're going to call him Dylan. And by the way, I got that name from the comment section, so leave a comment down below of any names you want me to use. And this story all started one night when Dylan was babysitting this kid in his neighborhood. So Dylan got to the house and, the kid's mom, and we're just going to call the kid Ben because I use Ben for every, other name. It's kind of a meme on the channel at this point. Anyways, right, so the kid, aka Ben, his mom came down, greeted him at the door because, Dylan got to the door, rang the doorbell, and, Ben's mom greeted him. And she's like, oh, thank you so much for coming. I know this is kind of on short notice, but I really, really do appreciate it. All you got to do is just, hang out with, Ben's already been fed. You don't have to give him dinner. All you got to do is just hang out with him for a couple hours. His bedtime is at 9, and afterwards, just kind of stay in the house till we get back, which is going to be around 11 or so. And I really, really do appreciate this. And Dylan's like, oh, it's no problem at all. Ben's a great kid. Because this is the second or third time that Dylan has babysat for Ben. Ben's mom is friends with Dylan's mom. They're not super close, but they're friendly enough, right? So anyways, right, it's kind of like a routine babysitting gig. And sure enough, Ben's mom leaves to go do whatever she's going to go ahead and do. And it's time for Dylan to start babysitting Ben at this point. And, it's pretty normal in the very beginning. Things are kind of chilling until things start to get a little bit weird. So for some reason, I don't remember exactly what, Dylan was like, oh, want me to go get whatever? And, Ben was like, yeah, no, that sounds like a good idea. And Dylan's like, all right, well, that's probably in the basement, so I'm going to go down there. And when, Dylan says, I'm going to go down to the basement, Ben looks at him and goes, no, you can't do that. And, Dylan was really just startled by this because Dylan had gone in the basement before because he, that's why he knew where whatever he was trying to get was. And, this had never been an issue before. And also Ben was he wasn't necessarily a quiet kid, but he wasn't known to have a random outburst for no good reason. So, Dylan was both concerned and confused. So, Dylan turned to Ben and was like, dude, what's wrong? Is everything okay? And Ben is just looking at him like, You don't understand what's down there, man. You don't know what I've seen. And at this point, right, Dylan's just kind of looking at him like, bro, what are you talking about? Is the boogeyman down there? Is a big scary monster down there? And the kid, aka Ben, is just looking at him like, you're not going to believe me, but Freddy Fazbear is down there. And at this point, right, Dylan, he knows what Five Nights at Freddy's is. If you don't know, Freddy Fazbear is one of the animatronic characters from this video game. Five Nights at Freddy's, very fun game. I used to really enjoy it as a kid. But anyways, right, Dylan was aware of what that game was. He was at least aware. And he was like, Ben, there's 0% chance that Freddy Fazbear is down there. And Ben looks at him like, dude, no, you don't understand. So Dylan kind of has a smirk on his face, and he looks at Ben and he's like, all right, you want to make a bet? I'm going to go down there, and I bet you a firm high five, right, that I will find 0 animatronics. I won't find Freddy Fazbear. I won't find Chica. I won't find any of those guys down there. I bet you a whole high five that, I'll find no one down there. And, look, obviously Dylan was just trying to calm Ben's nerves because he felt bad. Ben was 9 or something, so active imagination, if you to say the least. And Ben was looking at him all kind of scared because he was worried for Dylan, man. He was afraid he was going to go down there. It was going to be the bite of 87 all over again. He can't be having that. And so Ben's like, dude, I don't want you to risk anything. And Dylan looks at him like, Ben, I promise you, I am risking nothing by going into the basement. And so Ben looks at him, because Ben kind of wants, him to check anyways. He's like, all right, man, as long as you know what the risks are. So sure enough, right, Dylan opens up, the door to the basement, turns on the lights, starts walking down there, and he's, in the middle of, yelling up to Ben, saying, hey, Ben, I can't see anything so far. As I said, Freddy Fazbear isn't and as he's finishing that sentence, he hears a scream from Ben. Ben upstairs is like, ah. At this point, right, Dylan genuinely thinks that something like terrible has happened. So like Dylan like runs up, assuming that there's like a robber or something. He's like, Ben, what's wrong? And he goes up there and no one's there. Ben is gone. So at this point, right, Dylan's kind of scared because Ben just screamed and then disappeared. And he's kind of thinking in his head, like, did someone like break into the house and like capture him? And he's thinking, no, that can't be. That's too fast. Like, I was just down here for a minute. And I mean, as soon as Ben screamed, within like 20 seconds, Dylan was like all the way upstairs and he didn't see anyone. So Dylan's like looking around. He's like, oh my God, what could have happened? And he looks at the kitchen door because like the basement was right above the kitchen. And in the kitchen, there's a door that led outside. And he turned around to the kitchen door. And sure enough, the kitchen door was wide open. He's like, shoot. So he runs out there and he's like, Ben, where are you? And so he's kind of like, he goes outside, he's looking around, and he hears another faint, ah! He's like, okay, like, shoot, Ben, are you okay, Ben? And he starts like yelling out for Ben. And Dylan is just kind of like running in the direction that he heard Ben like faintly scream. He's just like, oh my God, like he's thinking the worst right now. Dylan is legitimately thinking, all right, was he like captured? Was like, what happened? Like, why? Like, why me? I'm just like trying to babysit this kid as like a favor to like my mom's friend on a Friday night. I'm not trying to like chase down some kind of like burglar or kidnapper or something. That's just not what I'm trying to do today. You know what I mean? I'm just not trying to do that. And anyways, right, he starts like running down the street in the direction of Ben, and he hears Ben yell again, ah, kind of very faintly in the distance. He's like, Ben, I'm coming for you. At this point, right, Dylan is basically breaking out into a full sprint. And like, thank God, like Dylan is like a track athlete, because the average person babysitting him probably would not have been able to sustain a full-on sprint for that long, or would have been able to at least catch up with, Ben at this point. And eventually, right, Miles is like running around. He's like, or not Miles, sorry, my bad. Dylan's like, oh my God, like Ben, where's Ben? Where's this kid? Where'd he go? And then eventually, right, he sees Ben. He's like, Ben. And Ben is like several like miles away from, or probably about like a mile away from the house. He's like kind of like cuddled up, kind of like crouched up, fetus position, whatever, in like some random dude's yard. He's like, Ben, what happened? And Ben was kind of just all curled up, and at this point, Dylan was like, Ben, what happened? Like, are you okay? And Ben looks up at him and he explains why he ran away. Real quick, comment Freddy down below if you made it this far into the video. I'll be trying to dish out some hearts to people who comment Freddy down below as a way to say thank you. I can't get to them all, so maybe comment Freddy 2 or 3 times if you want a better shot of getting a heart. And anyways, back to the story. Anyways, right, Ben says, through like kind of like tears and kind of choking up a little bit, he's like, I know you're not going to believe me, but I actually saw Freddy. I saw Freddy. He was in the house. He was looking right at me. I'm sorry, Dylan. Like, I had to run. And at this point, Dylan is like in his head, he's like, dude, you cannot be serious, bro. I thought you were like captured. I thought someone came for you. I thought you were in serious danger. But Dylan didn't want to be mean to this kid. He obviously looked distraught. Like, Ben was pretty clearly not pulling a prank on him, not pulling a fast one. He genuinely thought this big, scary, like, monster animatronic was in the house after him, and he kind of felt a little bad. But he did say, Dylan was like to Ben, he's like, Ben, you can't just be doing that. Like, I legitimately thought you got kidnapped. And Ben's like, dude, I know, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't mean for any of this, but I really saw him. So, Dylan sits there, kind of thinks about it for a second. He's like, Ben, we're going to go back to the house, and we're going to go through the entire house, you and me. We're not going to separate again. It's going to be you and me, and we're going to go through every square inch of the house, and I'm going to prove it to you that it's just in your imagination so that you can feel safe. Dylan's a good guy, right? Bro, a lot of people would be very mad. They would be mad at Ben. Like, they would just be like, I'm done with this kid. But Dylan, he's a stand-up guy. He's a good kid, right? Because he went out of his way to just, make sure that Ben was feeling safe. So, they walk back, and eventually they get back to the house. And Ben is just, like, looking at the door, like, all, like, nervous and scared or whatever. And, Dylan's like, don't worry about it, man. Come on in. And they walk into the house, and someone's actually sitting at the front table. And Dylan's like, hey, like, hello? And a guy turns around, and Dylan recognizes him as Ben's older brother. And Dylan's like, oh, man, I didn't know you were going to be here. And, Ben's older brother, who's like, I'd say like, he's probably 12 at this point when, Ben is 9. Ben's older brother's like, yeah, sorry, I was upstairs playing video games earlier. Sorry I didn't come down earlier. And, Dylan was like, all right, that's fine. That's okay. Like, just know I'm here till, your parents come back and I'll be putting you to bed and, whatever, right? Ben's older brother's like, all right, like, sorry I didn't say anything earlier. Dylan didn't think much of it until, they went upstairs and Dylan saw what Ben saw. When Dylan and Ben were going around, scavenging, every square inch of the house to make sure that Freddy Fazbear wasn't actually in there, right? They eventually got to Ben and Ben's older brother's room, and they went around, and Ben was like, because they went in there, Dylan's like, all right, no one's in here, and Ben's like, check the closet, because, the monsters always hide in the closet, man. That's just, that's a simple fact we all know. So, Dylan's like, all right, fine, whatever. Dylan opens up the closet, and is taken aback because what he sees in there is like a papier-mâché Freddy Fazbear costume. At first, he jumps a little bit because it low-key looks like the real deal. And even though he knew for a fact that, Freddy Fazbear is not actually real, right? He doesn't actually exist. He jumped for a sec because that was the last thing he was expecting to see when he opened that up. He's like, geez, what's this? Whatever. He goes in and he kind of he looks in the closet and Ben's like, is there anything in there? And, Dylan's like, nope, nothing's in there. But he kind of Dylan goes in and looks at the costume and realizes that it's a costume in the closet that Ben's older brother uses. And then he realizes, and he's like, wait a minute, Ben, what did you exactly see? And Ben started to get nervous again and tear up a little bit. He's like, I saw this big Freddy. He was standing in the staircase and he was just looking at me. And at this point, Dylan was like, Dylan put 2 and 2 together and realized that Ben's older brother was playing a prank on Ben and almost got him in a lot of danger, to be honest. So, sure enough, eventually time goes by and it's time for them to it's time for Dylan to put them to bed. And they go to bed. Dylan's just kind of sitting there waiting for Ben's mom to return. And when Ben's mom returns, Dylan explains what happens and then also explains what he found in Dylan's older brother's closet. And let's just say that Dylan's older brother got quite a talking to. Subscribe if you haven't already. Drop a like on the video and then click on one of the 4 videos on screen right now to support the channel. Peace. Today we got a story of another Minecraft kid who thinks Freddy Fazbear is actually out to get him. However, this story has a bit of a twist to it, and when I received it, I knew I had to tell it. So stick around, leave a like on the video to claim your free nothing, subscribe, and let's get right into it. So we're going to call the subscriber who sent in this story, we're going to call him Benson. I got that name from the comment section, so leave any names you want me to use down below in the comment section. But anyways, right, this is a story of Benson and his friend George, who is the Minecraft kid, but we're just going to call him George from this point out. So this story started when Benson, the subscriber, and George, his friend, aka the Minecraft kid, who we're just going to call George, they were out and it was like a Saturday and they were just playing at their local park. They both lived in the same neighborhood and their parents allowed them to go out to the local park to, to hang out, to play with each other, whatever, having fun, right? And it was walking distance from both of their houses, and their parents kind of, they felt, I don't know, confident enough to let them go out by themselves, maybe they were mature enough, maybe the parents just thought they'll be fine or whatever. But anyways, they were free to go out and hang out whenever they wanted to, as long as they told their parents before they left. And this all happened one Saturday night. It was kind of getting dark outside, the sun was going down, and Benson and George were kind of just chilling there at the park, kind of staying a little bit later than they usually did. And this is where things start to get, where things start to go down, per se, right? So Benson and George, they were kind of just chilling. They were both sitting on the swing set, and they weren't, actively swinging that hard. They're kind of just sitting there talking about, I don't know, the next game they wanted to play or maybe a homework assignment. They were both in 3rd grade, and they went to the same school, and they had the same class. So, I don't know, man. Maybe they were talking about some assignment or something. Either way, they were kind of talking, and they heard a rustling in the forest because right next to the park is a big patch of woods. So maybe forest isn't the correct word, but there is quite a few trees, and it was essentially a forest. I don't know if technically it falls in that definition, but then again, man, that's not my major, majoring in forest studies. That was my second choice. But anyways, right? They heard a rustling coming from the forest, and they kind of assumed at first that it was like because they looked over, right? It was getting dark. They're the only ones there. They wanted to make sure that it wasn't like a bear or maybe a deer or anything. And while a deer probably wouldn't charge them, they just wanted to see what it was. And when they looked over, they saw nothing, and they kind of just assumed that, I don't know, man, maybe it was a squirrel in the trees making that rustling sound. Maybe it was just like, I don't know, a branch falling or just something natural that really wasn't a threat at all. And so they go back to their conversation. They're sitting on the swings, and that's when they hear once again this rustling sound coming from the forest. And this is when they start to look over again, because first time, maybe it's just a squirrel. I mean, maybe it still was just a squirrel, but if it was a tree branch falling, the second time, I don't know, it just caught their attention because it definitely sounded like something was kind of moving. And they didn't immediately think that, oh, it's something like scary or something they should be afraid of, but they just, it caught their attention enough that they stopped talking to kind of look over. And while they didn't go over and necessarily investigate right away, they were kind of like, huh. I wonder what that was. And, Benson looks over at George and is like, do you think that's a squirrel or something? And George is like, I don't know, man. It's probably nothing, though. And as George was saying it's probably nothing, this time they heard a even bigger, crash. And this time it was very clear that there was, something moving around back there. And Benson's like, should we go investigate? And George is like, I don't know, man. If that's like a bear or something, maybe investigating is not the best idea. And Benson, the subscriber, is like, oh, come on, man. Let's just go in and see what it is. And by the way, Benson put when he was writing up the story, and if you want to send me stories like the stories I've been telling, Instagram's in the description. Go follow me there, even if you're not going to send me stories, because I like followers or whatever. But, Benson, when he was writing this up to me, he added a little note saying, in general, do not do this. If you hear rustling or any kind of potentially dangerous noise, do not do what every main character in a horror, actually no, what every character that's assumed to be game ended in a horror movie does is oh, let's go investigate the attic. Let's go investigate the basement. Also, let's split up and tell no one what we're doing. Yeah, at least they didn't split up, right? But anyways, George eventually decided to go along with Benson, and they started to walk at least close to the edge of the woods. They weren't going to sprint in there trying to figure it out, but they wanted to get at least close enough to the woods to figure out what was making this noise. So when Benson and George got closer to the edge of the woods, they heard it again, and then they kind of saw that, because, you can kind of hear where something is coming from. They looked at kind of a cluster of trees that was somewhat close to them, but also a little bit reserved into the forest. And they heard another, another branch crack, kind of sounding like something was, moving, almost intentionally moving. And, Benson, he doesn't yell out, but he says pretty loudly, he's like, George, look, over there. I think that's where the noise is coming from. So they both look over to this cluster of trees. And this is where the thing that, is kind of crazy happens. It all gets explained later on. This is going to sound like some scientific, some sci-fi story that's made up. But it all makes sense in just a second. Don't worry. Because when they look over to that cluster of trees, what they see completely shocks them. They see they see a bit of a shape behind the trees, and they're kind of confused what it is. And as they're looking at the cluster of trees, they see this big kind of Freddy Fazbear head kind of pop out and just stare at them. And at this point, right, they're both standing there completely in shock because they know what, Five Nights at Freddy's is. They've played the game. They've seen people play the game. And, they've heard internet rumors about it being an actual location and about how these things actually exist and how Scott Cawthon based this on reality or whatever. But they never did believe it. But once they saw this, they were both completely shocked. And Benson just looks at George, and they turn around and sprint, the fastest these two have ever ran. So when Benson and George sprint really far out of there, they're out of the park, and they're a good 5-minute walk away from the park at this point, they both kind of stop, they catch their breath, and after about a minute of catching their breath, they just look at each other, and Benson goes to George, he's like, man, I think I saw something, but I must have been seeing it incorrectly. And George just looks at Benson I mean, if you saw what I saw, then like we both weren't hallucinating, and if we were hallucinating, we probably weren't hallucinating the exact same thing. And Benson says, "So you saw a Freddy head?" And George is like, "Yeah, it makes no sense. Like he isn't real, but I saw what I saw." And Benson and George are just so rattled by this that they're, Benson and George are like, "Hey man," or George is like, "Hey, let's just go back, let's go to bed, lock our doors at night, and let's just talk about this tomorrow." Because it was getting pretty late, it was getting dark, and they were pretty sure that their parents wanted them back home anyways. So the next day rolls around, and oh, by the way, they don't tell their parents because like, oh, I saw a video game creature head, in the park. If his parents heard that, or any of their parents heard that, they'd probably be like, all right, our kid is not sleeping enough, or like, all right, this kid needs some help, bro. Like, he saw a video game creature at the park. Something's probably up. But anyways, right, the next day rolls around at school, and, they're sitting at, like, a lunch table, and it's Benson, George, and some other kids from the neighborhood. And this one kid from the neighborhood, we're just going to call Ben because he doesn't really, come into play that much often or after this point. Or at least I don't need to use his name. So we're calling him Ben because that's the name I give to everyone. He's sitting at the table and he's like, I saw something really weird yesterday. And at this point, right, Benson and George look at each other and then they look at Ben and they're like, oh, what do you mean? Like, go on. Because they don't want to say that they saw like a video game character at the park because that would be ridiculous. But they look at him and, Ben goes on to say, I was at the park and I was just there by myself and this is really weird, but I don't know how to say it, but, I heard something coming from the woods, and Benson and George just look at him. And then Benson goes, did you see a Freddy Fazbear head by any chance? And Ben's eyes just go super wide. He's like, yes, like, I didn't think anyone would believe me. Like, what do you mean by that? Like, did you see him too? And he's like, yeah. Benson, George and I, we're at the park, and we heard something, and we didn't believe what we saw, but we both saw it, so it had to be true. And Benson, George, and, Ben and the other kids at the table, because, like, one or two other kids had a similar experience since they all live in the same neighborhood, and this was a very popular park, they all came together, and they're like, all right, let's think about this logically. There is most likely not actually a real Freddy Fazbear. Like, we're just going to assume that he's not actually real. And by the way, comment Freddy down below right now. I will be hearting a bunch of random people who comment that. It just shows to me that you made it this far into the video, and I really do appreciate it. Anyways, though, they all sit at the table, and they're like, all right, reasonably, he's not real. However, we all saw the same thing, so we definitely saw something. So they sat down there, and they decided to concoct up a plan to investigate the situation and try and lure this like Freddy or whoever this is out of the woods and to actually figure out what is going on. So they wait till the end of school, and then after school, they all kind of like meet up a little bit outside the park, but also out of the view of the park. So nobody in the park or in the woods, whoever that might be, maybe it's, a person or an animatronic, who even knows at this point, could see them meeting up. So they meet up and they're like, all right, who's going to be bait again? And Benson says, all right, I'll be the bait. And George decides to stay on the other team. And the only reason we have both perspectives on this is that Benson and Benson, the subscriber, submitted the story, but George gave him the account from, what he couldn't see. But anyways, right, the plan is Benson is going to go into the park. And he's going to see if, like, anything, like, because maybe, like, people being there would trigger whoever is in there to kind of make noise and try and come out. However, the other team, which is basically everyone else at the lunch table, so that means George, Ben, and the other kids who were there, are going to be kind of secretly not in sight, but they're going to be, like, sneaking up a little bit into the forest. Some of them are going to be, like, perched outside of the park. Essentially, right, they're going to stay hidden incognito while trying to figure out, who is behind all of this. The idea is that Benson will lure them out, or at least, have their attention on Benson, and then the other kids will be able to get in an ideal position to see who is actually behind this. So Benson is sitting on the swings. He's the bait, by the way. And he's sitting on the swings, and he hears a crack, and he's starting to get a little bit nervous, because, like, hey, man, being the bait is not always the greatest role in these types of things. So Benson is sitting there, and he hears another crack, and in the corner of his eye, he looks over to see, like, he kind of, like, tries to visualize, like, where he saw, the Freddy guy before, and he kind of looks over there, and since he can't really look like with his whole head or can't turn his entire head without blowing his cover or making it look like he's trying to bait him, right? He only kind of like slowly shifts his eyes over, and he looks at that patch of forest, and sure enough, it's blurry, but he can see the outline of kind of like a, the Freddy head once again peeping out. And he just continues to sit there as if he doesn't notice, to try and give the other people time to figure out who's actually behind this. And the guy, or at least there's more noise coming from that side of the woods. The assumption is that the guy in the Freddy, or if it actually is Freddy, spoiler, it's not, but the guy in the Freddy suit, whatever, is trying to get his attention. So, Benson is sitting there on the swings. He's hearing more noise coming from that section. And at some point, right, he's going to eventually turn and look. However, Benson is also constantly looking at this area that's kind of far away. It's out of the view of the forest, but it's in view of Benson sitting on the swing. And he looks there and he sees George. George is not the one sitting on the swing, but George is the one who did part of the investigation. And George is giving him the thumbs up signal. By the way, one thing that they added was when the investigation team had gotten what they needed, they were to give the thumbs up so that Benson could, walk away from the swing set and know when he's basically done with his part of the deal. So Benson gets up, he gets off the swings, and he walks out of the park. And they all meet up again. And Benson's like, all right, so what did you guys find? And George and the others told their findings. George goes on to say, while you were distracting whoever was behind there, Benson, we were able to get around and look into the forest at all these different angles without being detected. And sure enough, we all saw what we saw before, a Freddy head. However, the rest of the body was a human body. And one of us was able to get closer, points to Ben, right? And he's like, one of us was able to get closer and confirm who it was. George points to Ben, and Ben kind of stands up. He's like, I was able to get close enough, and I recognized the outfit. And he said the name of who wore the outfit at school that day. And they all knew who this was. This was a kid in one grade above them who is notorious for bullying kids, and especially kids that were younger than him. They all knew who it was at this point, and they realized that the school bully bought this Freddy Fazbear costume, or at least the head part, and knew that everyone, especially the kids in the grade below him, which were them, really enjoyed the park. So he would wait out after school and scare anyone who came. Ben, George, and Benson and the other kids did eventually get revenge on this bully, but I'm going to save that for another part. I don't normally like doing the part 1 and part 2 like on TikTok. That's very annoying. However, I don't want to make these videos too long, and also I can't make them too long because of my own software restrictions. But anyways, make sure to subscribe to see the part 2. Leave a like on the video, and then click one of the 4 videos on the screen right now / watch another video to support the channel. Peace. Today we got the story of this kid who's being a real spoiled brat, so the subscriber decides to scare him into believing that Freddy Fazbear is real as a form of getting him back, and it's pretty funny. Leave a like in the video to claim your free nothing, and let's call the subscriber Clayton. So anyways, there's this spoiled kid in Clayton's class, and this kid is really just a brat, and for the rest of this video, I'm just gonna call him Spoiled Kid, because if you guys watched the last video, I had 2 names, and I kept mixing them up, and I'm so sorry about that. My brain is just too small. But anyways, right, so one of these days, Clayton and everyone else in his class gets an invitation to the Spoiled Kid's birthday party, and you might be thinking, oh, this is kind of a nice invitation, but no, in fact, it was just his mom sending out the invitations, and the Spoiled Kid was really just trying to present farm. He was just trying to get as many presents as possible, as on the invitation it says, please bring a present. And anyways, right, so, Clayton shows up, and Clayton is determined that he is going to have, even though this kid is kind of a jerk, he's going to have the best time possible at this party, because, hey, man, look, there's free cake, there's, arcade games, dude, he's going to have a good time, man, nothing's going to stop him. However, the spoiled kid eventually does something pretty bad that, you'll see in a second. So anyways, right, Clayton gets there, and all the other classmates are there, and so is the spoiled kid, and they go around playing some, some arcade games or whatever, and because it's the kid's birthday, right, the spoiled kid gets extra tickets, which that's totally fine. It's his birthday. That's pretty normal. But when things start getting bad is when they go to the opening presents segment of the birthday party. So anyways, right, the way that this was going to be done was, the kids, they all like had their presents with them. The parents were holding on to the presents, but eventually, right, all the parents would hand the presents over to the kids, and the kids would go up and individually hand them over to the spoiled kid, and the spoiled kid would open them. And, in theory, he would say thank you and be very gracious for anyone giving him gifts on his birthday, but you already know that this kid is going to be a massive jerk here. So anyways, right, it's eventually time to give presents and open them. And yeah, sure enough, right, so let's just call this kid Ben. He was friends with Clayton, and he was also in the class, so he was invited to the birthday party. And Ben's mom hands Ben, his present, and Ben walks up to the spoiled kid with his present, hands the spoiled kid his present, and awaits like a reaction, right? So the spoiled kid looks at the present like before the wrapping paper, starts to open it up, unwraps the entire thing, looks at it, and he doesn't even have no reaction, bro. The spoiled kid, bro, he frowns. He doesn't even have no reaction. Like, maybe you're not going to burst into I don't know, happy dances or something when you get a present you don't totally want. But at least maybe, force a bit of a smile, look at them, say, thank you, I appreciate it. Because, bro, people don't know exactly what you want. It's just a matter that, it's just the fact that they got you something. It's just it's the thought that counts. But bro, when the spoiled kid saw what he got, from Ben, he looks at Ben and he's like, really? Did you not even look at the list of things I wanted? This was definitely not on the list my mom gave out. And Ben is like, oh, the stuff on your list was just it was pretty expensive. We couldn't get it. And the spoiled kid is like, really? You couldn't afford that stuff? Wow. You are broke. Next. And he literally just looks to the next person in line as if, oh my God, Ben had failed him by giving him such a poor present or whatever, something like that. At this point, Clayton's like, hey, bro, that's not cool. You don't have to like the present, but the thing is, right, you don't even have to pretend to like it. You can just be appreciate it. Even if you're not super enthusiastic, at least don't frown and be yo, you're too poor to get me a present I want, and try and humiliate him in front of everyone. That obviously isn't cool. So eventually, right, Clayton goes up to him and he's uh-oh, I also did not get something from this kid's wish list or whatever. He's definitely gonna come down for me, because this kid had actually given a few genuinely happy reactions, but that's only when people got him stuff that was on his super expensive wish list, $100 Lego set or something very expensive like that. And some kids had actually got ahead and done that because their parents, I don't know, were just balling or something. I know I definitely would not be doing that if I was one of the parents. If I went to a birthday party and the kid said, yeah, I want this $200 Lego set, bro, I'd get them the $10 Lego set. That's jokes. I'm not doing that. But anyways, right, eventually Clayton walks up to the spoiled kid and he's like, aha, here's my present. The spoiled kid looks at the present and is like, this is not in the shape of anything on my wish list. And Clayton's like, So anyways, right, the spoiled kid opens the present and, it just looks so disappointed. And it's just Clayton, it's just the best you could do. At this point, Clayton's actually offended. He's like, yes, you're welcome, haha. And spoiled kid is like, whatever, man, okay. And just literally not even joking, he throws the present to the side. Man doesn't even no appreciation. Even if he doesn't like the present or is going to return it or throw it away afterwards, you didn't have to throw it on the floor. You didn't have to show your disrespect up front. So anyways, right, this continues on, and the spoiled kid reacts positively to some more presents, but he also kind of acts like a jerk for some other presents. So eventually, right, Clayton finds the other kids and, or at least the other ones that he remembers that, the spoiled kid was extra mean to, extra rude to for no good reason. And he goes and finds them. He's like, hey, I don't know. I think this kid was kind of out of pocket for that. And all the other kids kind of agreed that, even though it was the spoiled kid's, birthday party and it was his birthday, you still can't, react like that when you're talking about presents or whatever. So, they decide to cook up a plan to kind of troll this kid. And instead of telling you the plan, I'm just going to tell you what they did. So anyways, right, so they go and find the spoiled kid, and they're like, hey, man, since it's your birthday, we wanted to, show you something really cool. And the spoiled kid was like, okay, but don't waste my time. And, they were like, oh, no, it's really cool. It's really interesting. I'm sure you'll find it fun. You'll find it very interesting, right? So, they get to the spoiled kid and they're like, hey, like come with us. We'll show you what we're talking about. So anyways, right, so it's Clayton, it's a couple other kids, and it's a spoiled kid, and they walk out and they go out of kind of like the place they were in. So they were inside of a mall because this was like some kind of like Chuck E. Cheese-esque type place because it was like they could go play like arcade games, they had pizza, cake, whatever. It's like a typical birthday place inside of a mall. So they're walking out of the mall and the spoiled kid is like, where are you guys taking me? And Clayton's like, dude, don't worry about it. Like, that's part of the surprise. So anyways, right, they eventually walk all the way down to this, like, somewhat abandoned place. In the mall when, like, a shop closes, and it's like, you can still see some of the signs and, like, decorations from the store, but it's, like, it's all empty, it's closed, it's locked down. But anyways, right, so they go to this place that's, like, closed, and Clayton looks at the spoiled kid and is like, hey, do you know, like, why this place closed down? And the spoiled kid is like, no, I don't know. And Clayton's like, oh, so there was this place used to be kind of a rip-off Chuck E. Cheese. It was called Freddy's Pizza Place. He's kind of looking at his friends like, what do I say here? What do I say? And the spoiled kid's like, okay, go on. And, Clayton goes on to say, yeah, so it used to be called Freddy's Pizza Place. And there's these animatronics there. And they actually had to have the place shut down. And it wasn't because they weren't doing good business. In fact, it was doing great business here, right? But the problem was that there was a bit of a cover-up because this kid disappeared. And they said that the kid was, like, kidnapped or something, but the kid was not kidnapped. And the spoiled kid is like, oh, go on, I guess. And, Clayton's like, they don't really know why, right? But the main animatronic, this is what I've been told, the main animatronic, the bear one, someone went inside the animatronic and, this kid was like separated from the group. And, the guy in the bear animatronic, he apparently captured him and, neither the animatronic, the worker, or the kid were ever seen again. And to avoid some massive police investigation, Freddy's Pizza Place is immediately shut down with no notice or anything. And everyone there vacated and the FBI are currently investigating the situation. And the spoiled kid's like, this happened in our hometown? Oh my God. At this point, right, Clayton was like, okay, thank God this kid doesn't know what Five Nights at Freddy's is, because that was like an issue in the plan. If the kid knew about FNAF, the thing was over. And the spoiled kid's like, do you think they're still inside? By the way, these kids are in 3rd grade. This would never work on anyone above the age of 7 or whatever. And so Clayton says, I don't know, we could definitely check inside. And the thing is, right, for some reason, while the place was closed down, the door was unlocked. Clayton and these kids, checked earlier, and they figured out that the door was actually unlocked, which is a win for them for what you're about to see. So the spoiled kid's like, dude, I don't want to do that. It's too scary. And Clayton's like, dude, we need to do it. And he's like, okay. To this day, Clayton still doesn't know why the spoiled kid just went along with it, but he did. So anyways, right, I'll give you a little heads up. One of the kids that was, friends with Clayton and also got, roasted by the spoiled kid during the present thing, he, went to a local store, one of the local, costume shops, bought a Freddy Fazbear mask and was hiding inside of the abandoned store. So all of them walk in and Clayton's says very loudly, all right, so I wonder if this place is actually abandoned. And that was the cue to the kid to jump out and scare them. So sure enough, right, Clayton and the other guys kind of step behind the spoiled kid, and the spoiled kid is shaking at this point because he was just heard of this story of this animatronic bear that captured some kid. And sure enough, right, behind one of the counters, right, this kid kind of stands up but doesn't stand up all the way, so it's just a Fredbear mask that's apparent, and goes oh. And the spoiled kid, bro, the shriek that he let out and ran away. This kid had never ran this fast before. This guy is not a track star, but this guy could definitely compete in the Olympics after the way he ran away from this. But anyways, right, Clayton and the other kids, they want to make sure that it's not suspicious, so they run away too, and they pretend to be scared as well. So they all run back, and the spoiled kid, by the time that Clayton and the other kids get back to the party, the spoiled kid is in tears, and he's explaining to his mom that there's some evil person or some Freddy there's some bear costume attacking pranking me? And, Clayton and the other kids are like, oh my God, like we just explored a place and there's someone who like scared us or whatever. And eventually, right, the parents actually do like tell the mall cop or whatever. And the mall cop, instead of, thankfully he didn't check the security camera, which would have made sense. I think he just wasn't trying to like do his job. He's like, oh, I'll go investigate. Because if he actually did check the security camera, he would have seen it was just like Clayton and his friends. But yeah, they never got caught, and it was definitely, and the spoiled kid got pretty trolled. Click on the video on screen right now. I know you'll enjoy it. Just click it, do it. Today we got a story time of a Minecraft kid who thinks SCP-096 is out to get him. Leave a like in the video to claim your free nothing, subscribe, and let's get right into it. So we're going to call the subscriber who sent in today's story, we're going to call him Ryan. Anyways, this all happened on one Friday night. Ryan was playing some Minecraft, as he usually did. And, he was playing some doubles in Minecraft or whatever, and he was just queuing with random people. It also just happened to be kind of like a rainy and stormy night out, and it was getting dark kind of early. It was that time of the year, and kind of the atmosphere was just a little bit spooky. But anyways, right, Ryan was playing some Minecraft doubles, and he was just queuing with random people who wanted to play with him. And, normally, right, people would sometimes just quit immediately. Some people would, like, not be very good. Some people would talk to him and be nice. But then there was this one guy who queued with him. And there was just something strange about his username. And, Ryan doesn't exactly remember his username, but he just remembers that something about, this guy's username just made him feel a little uneasy. And it was like when Ryan was sitting in the generator getting resources. If you don't know, in Bed Wars, right, you try and protect your bed, and you also get like gold and iron and stuff to like, you can sit in your bed to get gold and iron, and like you get resources to get blocks or whatever. Kind of irrelevant to the story. But when like Ryan was sitting there getting resources to build a protection for his bed, this player that queued with him would just be like staring at him. His character would like just be staring at his character. It was just very weird. It was just very strange. It was just a little bit creepy. And anyways, right, after the game, Ryan and this guy actually won. No one else in the party or no one else playing that round of Bed Wars was very good. And Ryan was pretty good, and the guy he was playing with was actually surprisingly decent for, a random person he queued with who was acting kind of strange. Like, he was surprisingly pretty good at the game. And anyways, right before Ryan was about to hop into another Bed Wars queue to play again with another random person, he received a party request from this guy. And Ryan was thinking to himself, all right, like, that's, it's a little strange. This guy's a little weird, but he's also pretty good. Like, I would like to win some more games. If you don't know, in this Minecraft mode, if you party with someone, that basically means that you can play with them or on the same team as them. And anyways, right, so Ryan, he accepted the party request because he was thinking to himself, all right, like, why not? And anyways, right, so Ryan was about to go, and he asked, like, oh, do you want to play another game? Because in the party, you can, like, chat with each other. He's like, oh, do you want to play a game? Like, we make a pretty good team, haha. And the guy who he teams with doesn't respond right away. And Ryan's just a little bit weirded out by that. He's like, okay, this is a little bit strange. I don't understand. And then he gets a message in the party chat from the other guy, and it says, do you want to know the truth? And at this point, right, Ryan was feeling a little freaked out. He was feeling a little weirded out. He was a little uncomfortable with what was going on, but at the same time, right, he was just kind of like randomly playing Minecraft on a Friday night just because he was kind of bored. And this definitely felt like this would, either scare him, maybe, but it would most definitely cure his boredom. So we responded, yeah, sure, like, what's up? So after a second of waiting, the guy that, Ryan had queued with responded, do you know the legend of SCP-096? At this point, right, Ryan was, like, somewhat, like, into, like, he was on the internet. He wasn't, like, not on the internet at this point. And the thing is, though, right, Ryan just didn't know anything about, like, creepypastas and, like, and anything like that. He didn't know about, like, internet, like, horror stories or whatever. So he had no idea about anything about, like, SCP Foundation or any of the other SCPs. So he responded, no, I don't know what that is. So Ryan, responds, no, he doesn't know what that is. And, after a second of waiting, right, he finally gets the first message saying, message me on Discord. And then the random guy that Ryan queues with gives him his Discord as well as his Discord number or whatever, however you add people on Discord. By the way, I have a Discord server. You should join it in the description. Anyways, right. So we add him on Discord, and Ryan is really interested at this point because he's like, I'm no longer bored, to say the least. Like, he's also aware of like stranger danger, and people on the internet are probably weirdos, so be careful. But at the same time, man, like, he wants something interesting in his life, dude. He wants something interesting happening, and this is the definition of something interesting. So anyways, after, a minute or two, Ryan eventually gets the ad back, and the guy starts typing. He's like, "So, do you really want to know about the legend of SCP-096? And sure enough, Ryan is like, "Yeah, like, what is it? I don't know what that is." The guy says, "All right, let me give you a little bit of a backstory." And by the way, this backstory or this explanation of SCP-096 will not be exactly like whatever the relevant lore is, because this guy wanted to like alter like the internet legend a little bit just to scare Ryan a little bit more. So don't eviscerate me in the comment section. I'm just reading what I've been told over DM. By the way, if you want to submit a story, Instagram is in the description. That's how you submit them. Yeah. So this guy starts to explain over Discord to Ryan that SCP-096 is a monster that was captured by a special unit of the government, also known as, the SCP Foundation. And he said the only reason that he knows about this happening is because there was a leak of this on like the dark web or the dark internet. Basically, if you ever want to spook someone, to say, "Ooh, dark net, ooh," the deep web, and everyone's gonna be like, "Ah," even though it's mostly just like databases and files, but whatever, right? He's like, "There's a leak on the dark web, and I was one of the few that was able to see it. And apparently, right, the government is housing this creature, and along with the leak, there's an image." So he drops an image in chat, and it looks something along the lines of this. Obviously, he chooses an image that's a little bit less video gamey, but anyways, right, he puts the image in chat. He's like, "The legend is, right, this creature, anyone who sees this creature's face, the creature will start to like scream and wallow or whatever. But then after about a minute or two of screaming, it'll just go on a destructive rampage, and he will destroy anyone who sees his face. And also, he makes this terrible high-pitched scream, while he's doing it." At this point, right, Ryan's starting to feel a little bit uncomfortable, because like he has this sense that like this is like all fake or whatever, because I think Ryan's like, I'm going to make the assumption he's like 12 or 13 at this point. So he has a feeling this is all fake, right? But at the same time, right, it's still a little odd. It's still a little bit creepy. And the guy that Ryan messages goes on to say like, "Yeah, by the way, I forgot to let you know one thing." And Ryan's like, "Oh, what's that one thing?" He said, "Anyone who sees his face at CP-096 will be after." And Ryan's like, "Oh, okay, like, why did you have to specify that? You already said it." And the guy says, "Oh yeah, by the way, it doesn't have to be his face in person. It can simply be a photo of his face." At this point, right, Ryan is starting to like, even though he doesn't totally believe this, he's starting to feel this kind of like feeling of like, "Oh my God." Like, and Ryan starts typing, and he's like, is the image you showed me, is that a real image?" Real quick, comment SCP down below in the comment section so I can see who made it this far into the video. I'll be trying to heart as many comments as I can that comment SCP down below. But if you want a better chance of getting a heart, because I can't heart them all, comment it maybe 2 or 3 times. There's a better chance I'll see it and a better chance you'll get a heart. Even if you don't get a heart, just know I really do appreciate you watching. But anyways, right, so Ryan types in the Discord chat, is this image like a real image of him? Because he's starting to realize that if what this guy is saying is true, which he's like, "Oh, I don't believe it," but if, right, he kind of does believe it at this point, but like, if what this guy is saying is true, like, he just showed him an image, right, of SCP-096. Like, this is basically a death sentence. And the guy Ryan was talking to on Discord responds, "Yes, ... Your time is limited." And at this point, Ryan's like, he's like, "Wait a minute. Why isn't your time limited? If you had this photo on your desktop and you sent it to me, that definitely means that like you saw this image." So Ryan thought like, "Oh, I got him, ha ha ha," or whatever. And the guy responds, "Oh, you don't understand. I've never actually seen this image. I downloaded software that scrambles every picture of this image so that I will never actually see it." And after the guy says this, Ryan just has this weird sinking feeling. Like, he still doesn't totally believe it, but the story was like detailed and scary enough that like he was just feeling it. And at this point, Ryan Instead of like engaging anymore with this guy on Discord, he simply just unadds the guy in Discord, blocks him, logs on the Hypixel, removes the guy from his friends list, gets out of the party with him, just tries to disconnect from this guy, deletes the chat on Discord, like just tries to forget about everything that, was happening. And for a while, right, Ryan was successfully, he just forgot about, like, the whole SCP-096 incident, right? He just didn't even think about it, because he was just, like, back on Bed Wars, just queuing random people, and, like, he didn't queue this guy again for, like, the rest of the night, so that's not what happens. However, right, if you do remember when the guy was explaining what happens, like, when the SCP guy goes on, like, a destructive rampage, he makes this, like, wailing sound, the screeching, screaming, wailing sound. And if you guys don't know, if you live with foxes, foxes will make this really loud screeching wailing sound late at night. And I know this because where I live, there's a ton of like foxes that roam around at night, and they make this like screaming sound. It actually was really scary the first time I heard it. And the thing is, right, where Ryan lived, there hadn't been foxes that lived there for years. So like Ryan, like, he does remember in retrospect that that happened many years ago, but it took him a while to remember that. But anyways, in the moment, he was just sitting there playing some Bed Wars, playing some Minecraft, right? Just like chilling, having a pretty good time. And he's sitting there and he's mid-game. He's just queued with some random guy. And he hears this screeching sound coming from outside. And the thing is, right, it's the sound of the foxes. However, he's not thinking about foxes. He's thinking about what this random guy on Discord told him about what the SCP-096 does when he's on his, like, destructive rampage and when he's coming for you. And it sounded exactly like that. And because of this, like, coincidence, right, this guy, like, was obviously going around trying to scare people, and there's not a chance he could have known that, like, this guy lived with foxes. It was just a really terrible coincidence, right? But the fact that, like, after seeing the image and he hears the exact sound, the scary sound that he was told he was going to hear, Ryan just like freezes in his chair and his heart starts racing so fast. And he just like gets out of his chair, goes to his door, slams it shut, locks it. And his mom is just like in the other room and is like, Ryan, is everything okay? And he's like, yep, everything's good. I'm good. And legitimately for the rest of the night, like, he didn't go to bed till like 5 in the morning when he just like could not stay up any later, right? He stayed in his room, lights on. He just sat up in his bed. He didn't even like lie down in his bed. He sat like straight up vertically in his bed for the entire night until he fell asleep forcefully at like 5 a.m. And when he woke up, he was like woke up in a panic because he was sure that like the SCP-096 was about to be right above him, right? And honestly, for the next couple weeks, like Ryan was like terrified. After about 2 weeks, Ryan decided to face his fears and look online to see if there was any information about SCP-096, and that's when he realized the whole thing is like an internet joke or an internet hoax or whatever, and that yes, no, SCP-096 is not out to get him. Subscribe if you haven't already, drop a like on the video, and then go watch one of the 4 videos on screen right now, or go watch an old video. Either way, you'll support the channel. Thank you. Today we got a story time of a Minecraft kid who tries to impress the new girl in class with the fact that he has aliens in his basement. I don't know, man. But anyways, he gets exposed in front of everyone, and it's pretty hilarious. So sit back, relax, leave a like on the video to claim your free nothing, subscribe to the channel, and let's just get right into it. So the subscriber sent in today's story. We're going to call him Brian. I got the name from the comment section down below, so leave a comment of any names you want me to use. Anyways, right, so Brian was telling me about, you know, this new girl who came into class, and we're going to call her Claire. So normally, look, there's always, like, new kids moving in, but it's still a rare enough occasion that it's, like, it's a big deal, especially since Claire didn't come at the beginning of the year. She came, like, 2 months into the fall, I guess, semester or trimester. I don't know what section, like, or what they're on. Right, but they're in 5th grade, just all the context you need. So anyways, right, on the first day, the teacher says, all right, class, we have a new student. I'd like you to, meet Claire. Claire, is there anything, you'd like to, say, or, do you want to introduce yourself? She's like, yeah, hi, guys, my name's Claire. I'm from insert, originally from insert place very far away. I recently moved here, and, I'm starting here in the school system. Everyone's like, hi, Claire, nice to meet you, whatever. So pretty standard. Claire goes to sit down. And there's also another kid in this class, and we're going to call him Benny. Let's just call him Benny, right? And, while he did play a lot of Minecraft, he was mostly known as like the Minecraft kid because of the same creeper shirt he wore every day. I mean, dude, maybe this kid was like Einstein and had like, 6 pairs of the same shirt and like pants to wear every day. But dude, I'm just going to make the assumption that, man was not running the washing machine every single night. He just kind of came in the same shirt, maybe washed it once a month when it started to like crystallize from the sweat and gamer juice. But whatever, man. Benny, he was an interesting kid. And it wasn't just the sweat crystallized gamer t-shirt he wore every single day. He had quite the personality as well. But I'm going to leave that to the story. Anyways, right, so they were in class. Claire sits down. Benny, Brian, and all the other students were sitting there listening to the teacher go on about something. And finally, right, class ends and it's lunchtime. And so Brian goes over to sit with his friends. And, he's kind of friends with like a mix of like girls and guys, which I always think is pretty cool. Like personally, out of my 5 best friends, 2 of them are girls. So I got like a 40% best friend girl to guy split. I totally love it, dude. Like being friends with like a different gender, you just get a different experience, and it's really cool. Anyways, though, Brian was friends with like girls and guys. So Claire, trying to be outgoing, get to know people, she sat down with this group of people and she's like, "Hey, my name's Claire. Like, I mean, you probably know that from me being introduced earlier, but my dad just changed jobs, pretty suddenly, and I'm here now, and I just got enrolled in the system. Like, if you want to tell me about you guys or anything like that." So they start going around. Brian explains, his friends explain who they are, they introduce themselves, and then the kid, Benny, just like was sitting at a different table, gets up with his food, comes over and sits down, which, at first kind of just seems like, he's trying to be cool, he's doing a nice thing, trying to make the new person feel good, I don't know, give them some company. That's a pretty cool thing. Except the way he executes it's a little strange. He sits down, he's like, "Hi, my name is Benny. Do you want to hear about a secret of mine?" And bro, Brian and the other people at the table just look at each other like, "Oh, dude, you can't be serious, dude. This guy is already on his stuff already. Dude, it's been like a couple hours since she got here. At least make her pretend like we're normal, bro. Stop, please, bro." But sure enough, right, Benny's like, "Do you want to hear my secret?" And Claire's just like, "Okay." And he's like, "You're totally not going to believe this, but there are actually aliens in my basement." And Claire's just like, "Bruh." In her head, she's like, bruh. But then she's like, "Oh," to be polite. "Really?" And Brian looks at Benny. He's like, "Dude, what are you talking about?" And Benny gives him this look like, "Bro, stop. Like, don't blow my cover." He's like, "Oh, yeah, they're aliens in my basement. I was checking this morning, and I found some aliens down there. Pretty crazy." And bro, Brian and all the other people at the table were just looking at him with like wide mouths, just like, what is this kid on? And Claire, who's trying to be polite, part of her thinks like, oh, maybe this kid's trying to prank me or something, or maybe he's just full of it. Well, option 2 is probably the one. But she's like, "Oh, isn't that nice?" And then Benny, instead of just like leaving it there, is like, "If I can prove I have aliens in my basement, will you go on a date with me?" At this point, right, Brian and all the other kids are just like, "Bro, shut up." At this point, right, Claire just kind of sits there like, what is going on? And Brian says, all right, like, "Benny, let's not ask these questions. That's very weird and strange." And Benny's like, I think you're just a hater who doesn't believe in the aliens." And you know what? Brian's like, "Yeah, actually, I don't believe in the aliens." And at this point, right, Benny's like, "Oh, I got to defend myself." He's like, "You want to make a bet? You want to make a bet on the aliens?" And Brian's like, I'll make a bet with you on if there's actually aliens in your basement." Sure thing, yeah." Benny's like, "Prepare to lose. How much money do you want to lose?" And Brian's like, "How much money do I want to win? Let's put $5 down." Look, this is 5th grade. You might not be thinking like $5, whatever, right? I mean, $5, you can get a pretty nice like Subway sandwich with that. But anyways, right, $5. It was a big deal back then too, even bigger than it might be now. So, Brian was like, "All right, sure. Yeah, $5. And Benny's like, "All right, fine, $5. And Claire's just sitting there like, "Bro, you got to be kidding me." And Brian's like, "All right, well, let's see some proof." And Benny's like, all right, we'll be here tomorrow, and I'll come with some proof. And Brian's like, all right, well, we all at the table have to agree that it's actually proof. And Benny is like, you guys will be so shocked. There's no way you can prove otherwise, so I accept. And Brian's like, all right, bet. Quick $5. And in Brian's head, he's like, all right, quick $5. Got Claire out of this awkward situation. I'm just straight up winning today. There's no question about it. So Benny goes on to say, all right, guys, we'll just be here tomorrow at lunch, and I'll show you indisputable proof. Make sure to bring the $5. Brian's just like, all right, bro, I'll be here at lunch. Sure thing. And Benny's like, fine, see you then. And he gets up and leaves. And Brian immediately turns to Claire. He's like, I'm so sorry. He does not represent us, man. Like, we're all normal. I'm sorry he said that weird thing and then proceeded to ask you on a date. Like, that must have been super uncomfortable. And Claire was like, a little, but it was also kind of funny. And, Brian's like, you don't have to sit here tomorrow. We won't take it personally because we know he's coming back. And Claire's like, nah, dude, what are you talking about? I want to see these alien photos. So Brian immediately knew, like, Claire was super fun. Like, she was going to be chill. She's going to fit in just fine. And Brian's like, all right, like, just be prepared. He probably is going to have something up his sleeve, and let's just hope it's not directed at you again. And she's like, all right, I could take it. Like, to see the the quote-unquote alien photos, I'll do anything to see that. So anyways, right, the next day rolls around. Real quick, if you made it this far into the video, comment alien down below. I'm going to try and drop some hearts on these comments to say that I appreciate you guys watching, because if you watch videos like more than halfway through, it really helps me out. And if you don't get a heart, I'm just really busy, and I still appreciate you either way. Anyways, right, next day rolls around. And Brian and his friends, as soon as they get out of class, like, they're waiting in class with like 5 minutes left on the clock, and they just can't wait, man, because they're just excited to see what Benny brings in and how it's going to be. Like, he's going to get clowned on so bad for bringing in something that is going to prove that there's aliens in his basement, right? Yeah, I mean, hey, man, we all know that's going to be cap. But anyways, the bell rings, and Brian's like, let's go, boys. And all of Brian's friends come up, and like, they all start walking over. And, Brian goes up to Claire, and he's like, are you ready? And she's like, dude, I am so ready for this. So they go over to the table, right? They sit down, and they're waiting for Benny. And, dude, Benny doesn't show for like 5 minutes, and they only have like 30 minutes to get lunch. Bro, I'm not sure if it was just me, but for some reason, my middle school, my high school, they never gave you enough time to eat. I'm trying to digest. I'm not trying to feel sick after lunch because I get like 3 minutes to pummel down my food. Bro, chill out. I'll have plenty of time to study, whatever, right? So they're sitting there, and they're just like, where's the kid? Is he not going to show up? Is he just not going to eat? Like, what's the deal here? Anyways, right, so they're sitting there, and they're waiting, and eventually, Benny, they see Benny, and they're like, oh my God, finally, the kid's here. So Benny sits down, and Benny just has this smile on his face. And for a second, Brian's like, all right, well, I know for a fact that there's no aliens in his basement, but what if he is like proof that I can't dispute? Even if it's not real, like, what if I can't dispute it? I really don't want to give this guy $5 because he just said I had to convince him like that, or I can't prove it wrong. So Brian was a little nervous for a second, and Benny's like, all right, I'm glad you've all gathered around. Finally, you guys will see the indisputable proof that there are aliens in my basement. And I shall receive $5 from Brian and a date from Claire. And Brian's like, hey, yo, that was not part of the deal. And Claire's like, all right, that's fine. And Brian kind of is taken aback for a second because he's like, in his head, he's like, dude, I know you don't want to go out on a date with this kid. And I know you're just putting it in because it's like funny and you think that there's no chance. But what if he has good Photoshop skills? You don't know this. But anyways, right? Benny's like, all right. Pulls out his phone. He's like, look at this and weep, or get super scared, because that's how I'd react to aliens personally. And sure enough, like, they take the phone and they all look at it. And as they're all looking at the photo, Brian, Claire, and his friends all burst out laughing. And right, Benny's taken aback. He's like, why are you laughing? And Brian, trying to like get his words out in between his wheezes, is like, bro, did you not think any of us ever saw the movie Alien before? Alien was a pretty popular, like, alien movie. And Benny just looks so embarrassed at this moment because, like, bro really came into lunch with his definitive proof being a screenshot from the Alien movie trailer. That was his definitive proof. I'm not even kidding. And so Benny gets up all embarrassed and like grabs his phone and gets up and walks away from the table. And Claire like turns to Brian and is like, dude, you're not going to get your $5 because Benny didn't give him the $5. And they're assuming that at this point he's too mad to. And Brian's just like, bro, at this point, like, I already won. This is my victory. This is my prize right here. This moment is my celebration. Subscribe if you haven't already. Drop a like in the video, and then if you want to support the channel, click on one of the 4 videos on screen or watch another one of my videos. Thank you. Peace. In today's subscriber story, the older sister of the guy's best friend starts acting really weird. If you know what I mean, man. It escalates so much that at one point, I'm not going to spoil it. Enjoy the story. So the subscriber who sent this story in, he has a best friend, and his best friend's name is Ben. By the way, you can send in stories to my Instagram. It's in the description. Anyways, right, so Ben is his best friend, and he's been best friends with Ben for like 10 years at this point. He's been kind of like a lifelong best friend. And Ben has this older sister who is 1 year older than him. And let's call this sister Caroline. By the way, Ben isn't actually his real name too. I never really used the real names ever, even if I was given them. So Ben is the friend. Caroline is Ben's older sister. The first event, or the first like happening, right? The first thing that like happened, it was, Ben was, or the sub was invited over to Ben's house. They were just gonna like, chill for a little bit. It wasn't like a sleepover or anything. It was just like a normal day, right? So, as the sub had done so many times in the past, goes over to Ben's house. The parents are out. It's just Ben there. They're probably just gonna like, chill, maybe play like some Call of Duty or something. I don't know. It's just like, not that big, no high stakes, no like big event or anything. They're just chilling at the house. So it's just Ben, it's just him, and it's also Ben's older sister Caroline, who's upstairs at the time, probably just like, I don't know, doing some like older sister things. Bro, I don't know what older sisters do. Like that's not me. I don't know, man. So the subscriber and Ben were just kind of like, playing some game, probably like Call of Duty or Modern Warfare or something, right? So they were just, they're chilling, playing that game. And eventually, they go to the kitchen, I think like Ben or maybe the subscriber, I'm not sure, either or, like one of them was thirsty or just wanted to take like a little break. So they went to the kitchen, got some water, just kind of like, talking about stuff. They're in the same school as well, so they were talking about one of the classes that they had together. They had like a major assignment or something, and they weren't partners for it, but they, it was a similar assignment, so they could at least discuss it together. And they were just like, dude, I have no idea how to go about this, right? They're just chilling, having a pretty good time. And that's when Caroline comes down and like Ben, the subscriber had always like known Caroline because like Caroline was like Ben's older sister. So for that reason, he was like aware of her and she was aware of Ben or of the subscriber because like Ben would always hang out with him because Ben and the subscriber were really good friends. So Ben was like, okay, like I'm gonna go like back over to the game room or the living room or wherever they're playing the game, right? And then the subscriber was like, all right, let me refill my water. He's like, bet, I'll meet you there, right? So Ben goes over to the game room. The subscriber goes to refill his water, and Caroline, Ben's sister, is just kind of like hanging out in the kitchen. She's on her phone, and when she notices Ben completely leave, she says like, hey, how you doing? Like to the subscriber, and the subscriber's like, good, like thanks, haven't seen you in a while. And it actually had been a couple years since he had seen Ben's older sister because he had seen Ben a lot since then, but I guess he's only been to Ben's house a couple times, and those couple times in that long period of time, he just like didn't run into her. Maybe she was just doing something else. Either way, right? He'd seen Ben a lot, but he had not seen his older sister in quite a while. So yeah, so then Ben's older sister was like, yeah, man, it's been a second, you're looking good. And Ben, the subscriber, keep mixing up him and Ben, sorry. The subscriber doesn't actually think much about this until later on. He's like, oh, thanks, like you too, like appreciate that. But the way she said it, she had this like look on her face. She had like a little bit of like a smile, like a little bit of like a wink, bro. Like she had a little bit of something when she said that, a little bit more energy than normal, right? That wasn't just a casual compliment is what I'm trying to say. So Caroline, Ben's older sister, then is like to the subscriber, it's like, oh, well, it's been nice seeing you again. I hope to see you more. Like, make sure to stick around. And if you're ever around, let me know. Maybe we can hang out or something. And once again, the subscriber didn't think anything of this. So Ben's older sister had complimented how he looked and asked to hang out. But since, like, he'd been friends with Ben for so long, he just assumed these were, like, common courtesies or just the older sister being nice to him. Because eventually she did go back upstairs. Like, hey, like, I do have to, I'm in the middle of something. Like, I have to go back up, right? but I hope to see you around. Call me. And he just kind of assumed that that was like a haha funny comment, and he wasn't really paying attention to the body language of the sister, but we'll get it becomes more apparent later. The only reason why the subscriber even like could was telling me about this now is because the later situations, which you will hear about, made him think back to this moment and be like, oh my god, I was so stupid, I didn't even realize. Pause. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. All right, play. All right, so this second event, because there's kind of 3 events and they each escalated more and more. The event I just told you about before was really just like a little bit, it was just like preliminary. It was just like setting the scene. This second event gets a little bit more interesting is a way to put it. Anyways, right, so Ben and the subscriber, they want to go see a new movie. And this new movie is pretty popular. I don't even know what it was. I wasn't told, but it was pretty popular, but it also was like appealing to a wide audience, if you know what I mean. So it wasn't like a very niche, I don't know, movie that only Ben and the subscriber would like. For that reason, the sister wanted to come along too. And this was about like 3 weeks after the last incident. So Ben, like, honestly had no problem with it because him and his sister, like, didn't have a relationship where Ben was like always annoyed with her. They weren't like incredibly close. Like they weren't like boys with each other, because I know some people have relationships like that with their siblings, but they really didn't mind each other's company, because I know a lot of siblings really are just like not a fan of hanging out with each other for way too long, but they didn't mind each other's company. And obviously the subscriber had no issue with, you know, Caroline coming, because she had been really nice to him last time he saw her. And also he had quote unquote partially known her for like 10 years at this point. Not really, but he had known of her, and he's best friends with Ben, so of course she can come, right? So they go over to buy some popcorn. If you don't know, at the movie theaters, they don't really make a lot of money. This is what I've heard. They don't make the money on the tickets, they make the money on the food. So the food is always marked up so much, man. Like, it's an incredible amount of money for very basic food items. But anyways, right, they go to buy some, you know, snack items for the movie. Movie starts in like 5 minutes, and they go to buy some popcorn. And they look at the options, and they look at their wallet. Ben looks at how much money he brought, and, you know, the subscriber and the older sister, they just didn't have their wallets on them. Don't totally know why, but they just didn't have money on them. Ben was the only one who had money, and since Ben didn't have a credit card or anything, he only had physical cash bills. He looked at how much money he had, and he realized that they could only get 1 small popcorn and then 1, you know, large popcorn to share between 2 people instead of 3 small popcorns. That's just how it worked out. So Ben said, hey, look, I'll take the small popcorn, because he knew that like having the small popcorn was going to be less popcorn than sharing the big popcorn with someone, because there's also like a medium option, but it just didn't work for their budget. So, you know, the subscriber was like, okay, yeah, like Caroline and I can share the large popcorn. This is where things get interesting. So they go to the movie theater, they sit down, and obviously Caroline and the subscriber sit next to each other because they have to, because they're sharing the popcorn, right? And, you know, they sit down and the movie starts playing and, you know, they're eating their popcorn. Do you know the classic movie scenes where it's like you meet hands in the popcorn? It's like, oh my God, so romantic, so cute. You know that like classic movie scene or cartoon scene, and like the hands can join in the popcorn. It's like, oh my God. Then they get married and have 6 children and worry about their Roth IRA and setting up and starting a college fund. You know how it goes. But anyways, right. So they're at the movie theater, they're watching the movie, and, you know, Ben, the subscriber, keep mixing them up. God damn, they can't. The subscriber and Ben's older sister, Caroline, they're eating popcorn, but then Caroline, right, goes to grab his hand in the popcorn, and not like grab it, but like, you know, just went for the hand, right? Because the subscriber reached in to get some popcorn, right? And Caroline very tactically reached her hand in as well. And she, you know, at first the subscriber thought it was like an accidental grab, right? Totally understandable. Like, oh, we're both reaching for popcorn at the same time. Our hands touched. Haha, yeah, that's a little awkward. But then he realized that she wasn't letting go. And he looked up to her, and she was looking, like, staring straight at the movie and was, like, kind of smiling. And he was like, he was just like, oh, what is going on? What is going on? Help, someone, what? So he's like holding her hand for like a minute because he doesn't know what to do. He's too like afraid to just pull it out normally, because that'd be so awkward just to sit. It's awkward no matter what, man, but that'd be awkward to sit next to her. And he's just like, oh, I have to go to the bathroom, quickly stands up, and obviously she kind of lets go of his hand. after he stands up because she didn't want to like stand up with him. I mean, maybe she wanted to go to the bathroom with him. Ha ha ha. But no, you know what I mean? No, but he went off to the bathroom. That was his diversion, right? And it was like far enough into the movie that he was able to stall it long enough that he would like, he just got back from the bathroom in time that like there was like 5 minutes left in the movie. The popcorn was basically out. He obviously didn't reach for more popcorn, right? That was basically the second event. The third event is probably the third event is the one that's like, you can't question it away. You can't be like, oh, she accidentally grabbed her. This is the one that's like the most out of pocket, the most absurd, the one where like it just went way too far. Today's secret word is sister. So if you made it this far into the comment section, comment sister down below. I just like to see how many people made it this far. And to see how many people make it this far into the video, I ask you guys to comment a secret word in the comment section down below. And I do my best to heart as many as I can. I can't heart all of them, but it's the easiest way to get a free heart and try and be a top commenter on the channel. With that being said, back to the story, and this is when it gets good. The third and final incident involves a sleepover. So you know it's going to be good, right? So the subscriber is having a sleepover at Ben's house. Like, they've been planning this for a while. It's going to be pretty fun. Like, he's planning to come over. They're going to, you know, play some games, right? Watch a movie, stay up pretty late. And yeah, it's going to be a fun night, or at least he thought it was going to be a fun night in a not awkward, weird situation. But, you know, sometimes you're not right about everything, man. It is what it is. It's just life. Wait, so the sleepover is going pretty well. And the subscriber noticed that Ben looks pretty tired. But, you know, they're playing some rounds of like Call of Duty. They start a movie and they're just like sitting there and they're about halfway through the movie when Ben's like, dude, I am so sorry. I'm absolutely exhausted. Like, I know, like, I should have, like, you know, slept a little more the night before. Like, I knew you were coming over. And, like, it was, like, 11. So it wasn't, like, super early. But Ben was like, dude, I'm sorry. Like, I just got to go to bed. And the subscriber's like, bro, don't worry about it. Like, I get it. Big assignment. Like, because they turned in the assignment they were talking about weeks ago, the night before. So, like, or, like, the day of. So this sleepover was like big celebratory, but Ben was up really late last night. So subscriber's like, I get it. Ben's like, hey, just stay here. You can finish the movie. And the subscriber's like, I think I will. I haven't seen this yet. Like, I'll come up pretty soon. Let me just say that the subscriber should have gone up with Ben. Crisis would have been averted. Anyways, right, so Ben goes up. He's tired. He goes to bed. And the subscriber's just sitting there on the couch watching, you know, the movie. So the subscriber's like there for like 15 minutes when he hears, you know, footsteps down the stairs and sees, you know, Caroline, Ben's older sister, you know, come on and sit on the couch with him. And he's like, hey, what's up? She's like, hey, you know, how's it going? Like, I don't know. I saw you were like watching this movie and like, I don't know. I've seen a little bit of it, but I want to watch a little more. And he's like, oh, do you want me to rewind any bit? And she says, no, I watched about to this point. Little sus, but like whatever, right? Fine. So I'm not going to over explain what happens next too much, but they're kind of just sitting there. And the subscriber kind of feels like her, you know, closing in a little bit, and he just doesn't think much of it. But basically, right, Caroline makes a move. The sister makes a move, and the subscriber kind of like rejects it more or less. He kind of like backs off. He's like, whoa, like, whoa. Because here's the thing, like, Caroline, in his opinion, was a good-looking girl, right? He would have happily accepted all these moves if she wasn't his best friend's older sister, right? That's a huge like caveat, right? It's not like, oh, she is. And he just looks at her and he says, hey, like, it's not that I don't think you're attractive. I really do, but you're my best friend's older sister. And she kind of just looks at him and she's like, kind of gets all flustered and like runs upstairs. He's like, like, this is now a situation that I got to deal with. Like, and he's like, I just know for a fact this is not over. The next day in school, like, he's just walking around and he sees Ben come up to him. And Ben kind of has this really intense look in his eyes. He's like, dude, no. What did the sister tell him? And at first he was just like, he was convinced that Ben was going to think that like the sister was lying and that, you know, the subscriber actually, you know, tried to get with the sister, not the other way around. And that he was going to like really have a stay in on his friendship with his best friend. Ben comes up to him, is like, look. And the subscriber's like, dude, like, and he's like, don't even say anything. Like, I'm so sorry. And then the subscriber's like, oh, okay. He's like, it wasn't appropriate for what my sister did. Not acceptable at all. I'm so sorry. Like, I get if you don't want to ever come over again. And the subscriber's like, no, dude, like, I enjoy hanging out with you. Like, it doesn't even matter. Let's just forget about it and move on. Subscribe if you haven't done so. And if you want to support the channel, watch another video or just binge watch a bunch of stories. Easy way to do that is Storytime playlist. In today's subscriber story, the subscriber accidentally walks in on his best friend's sister, and it was pretty awkward. Enjoy the story. So the subscriber has a best friend who he's known for like 10 years, and for the sake of this video, let's just call the dude Ben. I know I've used Ben a lot, but hey, it's a pretty solid name. Anyway, so Ben also had an older sister who we'll be calling Kiki. She's kind of irrelevant for like the first minute or two, but she becomes pretty integral to the story in just a second, as you guys will see. Final bit of important information is that Kiki, who is Ben's older sister, right? She had a boyfriend, and let's just call the boyfriend, let's call this guy Jack, right? So Jack and Kiki had been in a relationship for like probably like 2 years at this point. It was a long-term relationship. And so the subscriber was actually kind of friends with Jack, but it wasn't like super close friends because, you know, there's a bit of an age gap. And Jack was kind of just like a mentor figure. Like the subscriber would go to Jack when he had any questions about like school, relationship, life, etc. Anyways, right, so the day of the story, the subscriber is invited over to Ben's house for a sleepover. As you know, Ben and the subscriber are good friends. They're in the same grade. You know, they've been hanging out a lot more recently. And yeah, you know, he's coming over for a sleepover. They're probably going to watch a movie, you know, play some Xbox. It's like, have a really solid Friday night, man. Just like a really good Friday night. Like just something to look forward to. You have a long week, but if you have a good Friday night planned, you can get through a lot. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, right, so, you know, the actual day the sleepover happens, the subscriber goes over to Ben's house. I hope I've not been calling Ben Jack, by the way. Jack is the boyfriend of Ben's older sister. You know, sometimes juggling all these like fake names in my head gets complicated. Anyways, right, so, you know, the subscriber and Ben, they're watching a movie, and they decide to go into the kitchen, have a little bit of a water break. Like, it was about halfway through the movie anyways. I think Ben wanted to get some snacks or something. The subscriber was kind of thirsty, so he's getting some water. So they're in the kitchen, and, you know, the sister, Kiki, was there. And, you know, since, you know, the subscriber had been friends with Ben for a while, he had known kind of Kiki, right? She was down there, and, you know, she was like, oh, hi, like, subscriber. Didn't say his name because I don't know it, and also I'm not going to leak it, right? But she was like, oh, hi there, like, I haven't seen you in so long, like, it's good to see you again, like, hope everything's going well. And at this point, I think Kiki was probably like, either in her first year of college, but I think more likely she's like a senior in high school. And he was like, yeah, how's that going? The subscriber is asking, like, is life good? All that kind of, you know, kind of small talk like that. And they just had like a very nice, friendly interaction. Let me just say that the next interaction between the subscriber and Kiki, the older sister, it just didn't go down as cleanly. It just wasn't as smooth as you'll probably see in a second. He's right. So Ben and the subscriber, they eventually, you know, they get their food, they get their snacks, they go back, they finish the movie. Pretty solid movie, right? So, you know, they're kind of like, I don't know, it's got to be like 10, 11. It's not so late that, you know, they want to go to bed, but they still want to, yeah, they want to go up, they want to do something. They don't want to go and invest into like another movie or something because, you know, that would just be too late, and they kind of just want to switch it up. So they say, you know, Ben's like, hey, do you want to go upstairs to my room and we can play some Xbox or something before we, you know, call it a night? And subscriber's like, yeah, no, that sounds pretty good. Been a second since I've hopped on, you know, Xbox. It'd be nice to go on there again. And yeah, so anyways, they head up to Ben's room, they head up to Ben's room. I got the name right. Points for me. Nice. Good job, me. So they get to Ben's room, and, you know, the Xbox is there, and there's the bed, and then Ben's kind of looking around, and he finds one controller, right? So he hands it to the subscriber, and he just can't find the other controller. He's like, dude, where's the other controller? I had two at one point, like I didn't like take them anywhere. So he's kind of thinking about it for a second. He's like, oh yeah, like the other controller's in Kiki's room. He doesn't totally know. The subscriber's like, dude, why? And he's like, dude, I don't even know, but I just know for a fact it's there. So anyways, right, the controller's in Kiki's room, and the Ben's like, can you go get it? And because, I don't know, he's like setting up the game or something, or tweaking with his Xbox, trying to get that all set up and such. The subscriber's like, dude, like, I don't want to go into your sister's room. He's like, dude, it's fine. Like, she knows who you are. Like, it's not a big deal. So, right, the subscriber's like, all right, bro, like, I'll go to your sister's room, and I really hope it's there, or it's going to be kind of weird. And he's like, dude, it's there. Trust me. And the subscriber's like, okay, yeah, sure. No, I'll just go to your sister's room. He's like, okay, do it. And he's like setting up the game or whatever. And the subscriber's like, all right, fine. Like, it's a little weird, but then I'll go over, right? So he goes over starts walking down the hall, and he sees that, Kiki's room is, it's like a little bit, it's not locked. The door's a little bit open. There's also light in the room, meaning that someone's there. She also kind of like hears like, some noise. So he's like, okay, she's there. So he goes up to the door. By the way, real quick, if you subscribe to the channel and also leave a like in the video, if you do those two things, you will receive literally nothing, which is a fantastic deal. I know, I'm just feeling so generous today. I'm just such a wonderful person for doing that. I'm already aware of that, but anyways, back to the story. The subscribers, he's like walking down, the hallway, and he's going to the door, and he sees it's like a crack open, and there's light coming from it, and there's someone inside. So what he does is he kind of like, he knocks on the door, and he starts asking, like, he's like, hey, like, is there a controller in here? But the thing is, instead of like knocking at the door and waiting, he's kind of like going on autopilot, and he kind of sees that the door is already open. So you know how you knock on a door and you're like opening it at the same time? That's exactly what he was doing. He was walking into Kiki's room, knocking on the door while opening the door, while asking the question, hey, do you have a controller in here? Like, Ben says that there's a controller in here. So that was a bad call. Let me just say that. So, just to put it lightly, that was a very bad idea. So as he's like opening the door, he's like, hey, do you have a control? And then, he looks straight ahead because the bed is facing the door. She's with some random guy who he doesn't recognize, right? And, they weren't doing something the second that, like, he walked in. They weren't, like, in the middle of anything as he was, like, looking at them. But it was very, 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 very apparent, right? It was extremely apparent. It was so transparent. Okay, you get the point. It was very obvious what they were doing, like, 1 millisecond before that half-open door was opened by the subscriber. And Kiki just looks at him like, just like, and the thing is though, like real quick, like tangent, Kiki doesn't know that, the subscriber and her boyfriend at the time, who was definitely not the guy in the bed, were actually kind of close. She had no idea. So she, wasn't worried or anything. She wasn't like worried that, the subscriber would tell, Jack? Yeah, Jack's his name. But she was like mad that he walked in on her when she didn't want anyone walking in. So Kiki looks at him and says, why did you not knock? And, the subscriber starts to go like, I knocked. And then she's like, dude, get out of my room. And like very like aggressively. And the subscriber's like, yeah, of course. So he's walking back. And before he even like, it really like registers that she was cheating on her boyfriend, the first thing that just like occupies his brain is just like, dude, why me? Why me? Like, why couldn't Ben do this? Like, it would be so less awkward if it was Ben. It wouldn't be great if it was Ben, because Ben probably wouldn't even knock. He would just barge right in there. But at the same time, like, dude, I don't even know this girl. Like, at least Ben's just, he was just, like, so just, like, upset with the fact, like, how reality works. So he walks back to Ben's room, and, Ben looks at him, because he's got the game all set up. He's like, dude, where's the controller? And he's like, he looks at Ben, he's like, bro, I just walked in on her with some guy. Like, it's so, like, he's like, dude, just, I can't go back there. I honestly can't go back there. I'm sorry. I didn't get the controller. And as the subscriber's saying this, it's starting to, like, his brain's starting to realize, right? He's starting to comprehend the fact that it wasn't Jack in that bed. It wasn't Jack, right? It wasn't her boyfriend of over 2 years and also his mentor or whatever, the dude he looked up to. It was some random dude. And he was also very sure that at the time they were still, Jack and this girl, Kiki, were still in a relationship because he saw Jack a couple days before and he talked about it. And because the subscriber asked Jack for advice about like relationships, and Jack was going off about how great of a relationship he had. So yeah, it kind of sucked because he was sitting there realizing that, he had to do the right thing and break it to Jack. He had to. So then he kind of turns to Ben. He's like, and Ben's about to be like, fine, I'll go in there. He's like, dude, wait, hold up. And Ben's like, yeah, what's up? And he's like, bro, like, isn't she in a relationship with Jack? And Ben's like, yeah, they've been in a relationship for like 2 years. Was it not him? And the subscriber just looks at Ben with this face. And Ben's face starts to drop a little bit. And he's like, it wasn't Jack? And the subscriber's like, no, dude, it was some random guy. And he's like, well, what if they were just studying or something? Like, what if it was like a project? And the subscriber looks at Ben like, dude, Let me just say, like, I didn't necessarily see anything, but just the context. If you were there, you would have known for a fact that, it wasn't just like a little study sesh, a little harmless little study project group, whatever, right? It was some straight on, like, not that. That's about as far as I want to go. Oh, Ben, who's also like had a lot of conversations with Jack because, Jack's been dating his sister for 2 years at this point, and Ben also really liked Jack as just like a person, like dude to dude. He just really appreciated him because he was just a good guy. Like he just had everything in the right place, right? And Ben was like a little bit in disbelief. He's like, no, dude, like it probably was Jack, right? You just probably like left the room really quickly. Like you probably saw him from like a weird angle or something. And the subscriber's like, dude, no, I saw what I saw. And then, Ben's like, okay, well, so Ben goes up to his window and he looks outside and he looks at the car in the driveway because there's like his parents' cars or car or whatever. And then, he knew what Jack's car looked like. And he looked at the car in the driveway and sure enough, it was a car he just does not recognize at all. And he kind of just like turns back. He's like, maybe Jack just got a new car, right? Because he was really kind of like trying to like, he was trying not to believe the truth at this point. And the subscriber said, and kind of probably something that wasn't the smartest thing to say, he said, you can go look for himself because, Ben actually went to go look for himself. He didn't even, like, go in to ask for the controller. He literally just barged into the room and, the subscriber was just kind of, like, sitting in Ben's room. He hears, like, a door slam open, and then he hears kind of, like, screaming and yelling coming from Kiki, Ben's sister, and then Ben walking into his room with his, like, face kind of, like, flushed, and he's like, dude, yeah, that is definitely not Jack. Like 100%. Like, oh my God. Like, yeah, my sister is cheating on her boyfriend. Yeah. So the subscriber and Ben just like, they sit on the bed and they're just like, okay, bro, like, wow, like that sucks. And the subscriber looks at Ben. He's like, dude, I gotta tell him. And Ben's like, I don't want to get my sister in trouble. And then he's like, but Jack's such a good guy. He deserves to know. Like he honestly just deserves to know better. Like I love my sister, of course, because like she's my sister, but I don't want her hurting anyone like this. And, they had a pretty, like, it was not an open relationship. Like, they definitely knew that. And obviously, if it was, then, like, Jack wouldn't have cared. So why would it matter that he told him? Like, so the subscriber is like, yeah, I just got to tell him. So the subscriber whips out his phone and he, texts Jack and he's like, dude, can we hang out tomorrow? And Jack's like, yeah, sure. Like, anything on your mind? He's like, yeah, this isn't going to be a great conversation. Like, just prep yourself. It's not going to be great. And Jack was probably thinking at the time, like, that, so the subscriber was going through something or he was having lady issues or something. Definitely not that his girlfriend was cheating on him, but whatever, right? So Jack is like, yeah, of course, bro. Like, I'll be there. And then he texts him as well. He said, do you mind if I bring Ben too? And the dude's like, yeah, of course. I love Ben. Like, Kiki's little brother. Like, of course he can come. And the subscriber's like, ooh. Kind of referred to you as Kiki's little brother. That's interesting. So about an hour passes, and they're just kind of like online. They're just kind of like browsing YouTube at this point because they don't have the other Xbox controller. They can't play Xbox, but they're also like, one, it's not late enough for them to go to bed, and two, they're pretty wired because of the whole thing. They just like a bunch of adrenaline, right? Because they just like they just walked in on something they shouldn't have, or at least Ben knew what he's walking into, but he had to like confirm or whatever. So they're just kind of like there, they're chilling, whatever, right? And then you hear a knock on the door about like an hour and a half later, and they're just like, is it like are like Ben's parents like want us to go to bed or something? Like it's not even that late at this point, man. And also they really don't care. But when Ben goes to answer the door, he opens it, and the subscriber sees that Kiki's at the door. He's like, oh, no. And the Kiki's like, hey, Ben, can I talk to you for a second? And the subscriber's just waiting in Ben's room, like kind of just waiting there, hearing kind of like a muffled conversation. And then he hears Ben say, yeah, no, 100%, I get it. Like, I get it. And he comes back in the room, and the subscriber's like, what was that? And Ben says, hey, my sister told me that under no circumstances can I tell Jack. And the subscriber's like, dude, Jack needs to know. And he says, yeah, I 100% agree. She didn't say anything about you. So, I will not be able to join you tomorrow. And he cannot, he's just got to, like, when he breaks up with her, because he definitely is going to break up with her, he's got to know that it was you who said it, not me, because I will be destroyed and I live with her and she will make my life a living hell, basically. But you don't live with her, so you're telling him, not me. So, the subscriber had to do it alone. He understands why Ben couldn't. And honestly, as long as someone was telling Jack, that didn't really matter, So, the next day rolls around and Jack comes over to the subscriber's house. He's like, what's up, bro? Like, how's life been? And the subscriber, like, right away just kind of like gets into it. He's like, dude, look, this isn't going to be a really fun conversation and I'm really sorry. And Jack's like, okay. He's like, I was at Ben's house and his sister, Kiki, yes, your girlfriend. He's like, yeah, Kiki. He's like, no, don't start that. It's not going to be good. He says, yeah, sorry, bro. Like, I was at Ben's house, and I happened to walk into Kiki's room, and I'm sorry, but she was cheating on you with another guy. And Jack's face just goes from, like, to, like, what? And at first, he's like, dude, no, it definitely, like, wasn't what you think it was. And he's like, no, it's 100%. Like, I even, like, Ben was supposed to come too, but she told him specifically not to talk to you about it. But she didn't say for me not to talk to you, because she doesn't know that we're, friends or whatever. And he's like, if I ask Ben, will he confirm? And the subscriber's like, yeah, Jack, I'm sorry. If you ask Ben, he saw it too. And he's also going to tell you that Kiki said not to talk to him or not to talk to you. So I'm sorry. Like, I wouldn't make this up. And he's like, I got to break up with her. He's like, dude, it was a very strict relationship. Like, we both made an oath not to cheat on each other. This was in no way an open relationship. And subscribers like, yeah, Jack, I'm so sorry. And he's like, no, little bro, stay around. I want to show you how it's done. Like, take this as a life lesson if you're ever in this situation. So Jack is just like, or the subscriber's just like, oh, it's about to go down, boys. It's about to go down. So, Jack, rings her up and he says, hey, the subscriber, and says his name, right, was at Ben's house, and he says that you were cheating on me. And there's just, like, silence on the phone. And he said, also, apparently you told Ben not to talk to me. And the subscriber's like, dude, don't get Ben in trouble. Don't get Ben in trouble, right? But it doesn't matter, right? He was already going off. He's like, yeah, and I just by the way, I thought it was pretty clear that cheating was not a thing that we thought was okay. I guess I wasn't clear about that. Like, he was kind of being, like, a little sarcastic about it. But understandably so, man. Like, he's allowed to be salty. He just got cheated on in a 2-year-long relationship. Like, oh my God, like, okay, right? He was taking it pretty well. And he's like, hey, I don't like doing this over the phone, but I thought I had to do this as soon as possible. And yeah, we're breaking up. And he just shuts it off. He was like, normally it's better to break up with someone in person, but I just want to get it done with as soon as possible. And the subscriber's like, oh, wow, man, like, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, like, it is what it is. Life is life. Like, I'll be sad for a while, but you just keep pushing. And the subscriber's like, this is why I like this guy. This is why I like this guy. Well, the story is, yeah, don't cheat. Subscribe if you haven't already, then watch another story video. In today's story, the subscriber meets the creepiest sister on the entire planet. Enjoy the story. So the subscriber sent in this story. His name's, let's call him Tommy, right? Tommy's a good kid. He's a good guy, right? And, Tommy has recently met this new guy. And this new guy, let's call this guy Sam. So Tommy's the subscriber and Sam's Tommy's new friend. And Sam's really cool, man. Like, Tommy and Sam actually have a lot in common. And he's just like one of those guys, Sam's just like one of those guys who's like always been around. He's always gone to school with Tommy, but they just never hung out. And for some reason, right, maybe they had a project together. For some reason, I don't even know. They're kind of exposed to each other. And they found out that they actually had so much in common and really, like, they really mess with each other, man. Like, it was like one of those friendships that, the person was there the whole time. You just didn't even know. So Tommy and Sam, they start chilling at school a lot, right? They're hanging out a lot. And then, one day, Sam's like, hey, dude, like, do you want to come over to my house? Like, we can play some Xbox, like, just kind of chill there, maybe in a more relaxed environment. And, the thing is, like, Tommy's like, yeah, of course. Like, that sounds great. Like, I'd love that, bro. Like, of course. And Tommy's pretty excited, man. Like, at the end of the week, he was going to go over to his friend's house. He's just going to chill, play some Xbox, just have a really good time. Like, it was going to be a good ending to the week. Definitely not going to have any super psycho, stalker, weirdo, creepy sisters. Nope, definitely not. That's definitely not the title of this video. Definitely not a massive spoiler to what's about to happen. Because Tommy definitely didn't have any super weird sisters that would do weird stalker. You get the point. Anyways, right, so, skip to the whole, like, the hangout day, right? So, Tommy comes over to Sam's house, and Sam's like, what's up, bro? Like, welcome to the crib, whatever, right? So, it's a Saturday. It's a good day, right? They're just chilling. And, you know, they flip on some Xbox games. I don't know exactly what they're playing, but they're having a pretty good time, right? They're doing their thing. They're having a good time. And yeah, so you know they're middle of some game, maybe some like COD zombies or something. They're just like doing whatever they're doing, right? And then Tommy, the subscriber, he hears like some steps. Here's some steps coming from the stairs that are like directly behind him, and he doesn't really think anything of it. Like, you know, maybe it's like a sister, maybe it's some parents, maybe it's, I don't know, like their dog, maybe it's their pet, 15-foot tarantula, all these normal things that honestly could be. So he didn't really think anything of it. And then they hear the footsteps, or at least Tommy hears the footsteps stop. And it wasn't like they walked out of the room or they walked to another room. It's the footsteps, they kind of just stopped. As if someone was like walking down the stairs and then saw them and stopped and started watching them, as if that was the case. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. And it's like, Tommy was feeling this presence watching him. The hairs on the back of his neck start to stick up. And he just turns around. He's like, turns around and he sees this girl. This girl that kind of looks like Sam, so he makes the assumption, okay, that's Sam's sister, just staring at them with these like big wide open eyes. And then Sam, who realizes that Tommy just turned around and is distracted, pauses the game on screen, right, whatever it is, and says like, yo, like, Natalie, why? And she's like, hi, I didn't know you had a friend over. And Sam's like, yeah, this is my sister Natalie. This is meet my friend. He's pretty cool. Meet Tommy. I just met him. He's a cool dude. Like, just playing some COD or whatever. Like, is there anything you'd like? And he's like, nope. Nice to meet you, Tommy. And Tommy's like, nice to meet you, Natalie. This is a great first impression. Not totally you being super weird or whatever. Yeah, this is a fantastic first impression. I don't think I've had a better first impression. It was not a good first impression. He's a nice guy. So he's like, hey, Natalie, how's it going? Hope things are good. Right, so they go back to the game. They go back to like COD Zombies or whatever, and they're doing pretty good. And Tommy's pretty into the game. He's really kind of like grinding it out. And but then he gets that feeling, right? He gets a little weird feeling, like hairs on the back of his neck kind of stand up a little bit, and he's just kind of like, why? And he turns around, right? And Natalie, Sam's sister, is staring at him and then quickly like turns away to like look at the game, as if she was like staring at the game the whole time. But she was obviously staring at at Tommy. So Tommy turns back around, and then Sam turns around. He's like, Natalie, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, I'm just watching you guys play the game. He's like, okay, it's a little weird, but okay. Natalie's like, fine, I'll go, like whatever. And, she leaves at this point. And Sam is, Tommy is a little bit like, okay, whatever. That's a little weird, but I'll get over it. I'll get over myself. It is what it is, right? And, so, they finish their game. And they both like basketball. And, Sam happens to have, like, a basketball hoop outside of, like, his garage or whatever. So it's like, yo, do you want to, like, just throw some hoops or something? And Tommy's like, yeah, let's, that sounds really good. I mean, part of Tommy was just kind of excited to, he liked playing COD Zombies, don't get me wrong, but he kind of wanted to get out of the house because he didn't like the whole feeling of being watched, right? So they're playing like one man like defending, one man trying to shoot. I don't know basketball that well, so I can't give you like super technical terms. But anyways, right, so they're rotating back and forth. They're pretty evenly matched, and it's a pretty chill light game. They're not like super stressing. They're not being some like sweaty gamer Minecraft kid clicking at the equivalent of like 500 CPS, whatever that would be. And I don't know what that'd be in basketball, but being like a super sweaty nerd or anything, they're just having a chill game. So, and at this point, right, Tommy is now trying to score. He's trying to shoot. And, Sam is defending. And, right above the garage is a window. Right above the garage is a window. So, it's above the hoop. The hoop's below it. And Sam's looking up to take a shot. He's trying to make it, right? He's trying to make a dunk. He's trying to make some hoops or whatever, right? And he looks up into the window, like he just naturally, his eyes flash up there, and he locks eye contact with Natalie, who's staring right at him. And he kind of fumbles and kind of like completely misses the ball. And Sam's like, bro, you good? And he notices that like Tommy has been looking at the window a little bit. He's looking at a weird direction. So Sam comes over, turns around, looks up and sees Natalie up there, and he kind of like screams like, Natalie, what? Like, what are you doing? You're being so weird. And Natalie like quickly runs away from the window. And Sam's like, dude, I'm so sorry. My sister's a little weird, but this is like excessive. I'm so sorry. Speaking of windows, the secret word of the day is window. So if you made it this far into the video, I'd like you to go down, comment window down below. I'm going to be trying to heart as many of those as I can, but I'm going to be honest, like hearting comments has been difficult because there's just been so many comments, which honestly I'm super grateful for. Thank you for all the support on the recent videos with the likes and all that good stuff, right? So I will do my best to heart as many as I can, but I'm actually going out for the next couple days. I'm going to have a good New Year's with some friends, but that means I'm making like 6 videos in one night, which is going to be bit of a lot, got a little stressful, but it's fun. And that also means I won't be able to heart as many comments, so I'll do my best. Anyways, back to the story. Anyways, right, so Tommy's just like, okay, Sam, like, no worries, bro. Like, it's still cool. I'm having a good time. Yeah, it's a little weird, like, that your sister is unironically stalking me, but, you know, it's cool. Like, it is what it is. Like, you're a cool dude. I'm having a good time. And Tommy's like, okay, I feel weird for you, bro. Like, I just feel weird for you. Let's go inside. Let's just, like, I don't know, let's, like, throw on some YouTube or something. Maybe watch a movie. I don't really know. Let's just go inside. So they go inside, right? And they're in the kitchen. He's like, yo, do you want anything? And Sam's kind of Tommy's a little thirsty, man. And he's like, actually, yes, Sam, I could do with a glass of water if that's cool. And Sam's like, yeah, no, of course that's cool, bro. Don't worry about it. So he gets him a glass of water. And, you know, and Tommy's just kind of like sipping away on it. And then, you know, Sam's like, hey, if you don't mind, I'm going to go set up like the TV. It's upstairs. It just takes a second. It's kind of annoying, right? So just, I'll be back, like, or when you're done, come up. It's just up the stairs to your left. Like, I'm going to be setting it up. Just come up when you're done with the water, no rush at all. So yeah, so Sam leaves them, and Tommy's just kind of chilling in the kitchen, looking around. It's a pretty nice kitchen, apparently. There's like, you know, a little like marble tabletop. The cupboards are nice. They're just freshly painted or something. Maybe they're wooden. I'm trying to envision a nice kitchen, right? And he's just chilling, enjoying his water. You know, the refreshing fluids that we all depend on to live, enjoying it, gulping down, you get the point. And until he is rudely disturbed. Yeah, so Natalie walks into the kitchen. She's like, hi. And Tommy's like, hello. And she's like, I have some questions for you. And at this point, Tommy's like, okay. That sounds fine, I guess, right? And Natalie's like, where do you live? Just an epic entry question. Here's the thing. It's totally normal to be like, yo, like, where are you from, right? She doesn't phrase that. She's like, where do you live? Like, what is your address? Where is your location of residence? Can you give me the P.O. box as well? Like, oh my God, chill out. Oh my God. And he's like, I don't live too far from here. Doesn't say exactly where. And she's like, interesting. What is your date of birth? Instead of like, what is your birth? Like, just like, oh, how old are you, right? Like, oh, like, what grade are you in, bro? Like, how old are you? Just normal things you'd ask. She's like, when is your date of birth? What is your mother's maiden? She doesn't ask for mother's maiden name. She's not actually like a super genius criminal, cyber hacker, whatever, who's going to steal his like bank account and buy a Ferrari. No, she's just very interested in the man and is wording her questions a little weird. The guy, the poor Tommy, right? He's weirded out. I mean, this girl's had a history of past behavior that makes her a little strange, to say the least. Anyways, right? He says it. He says, you know, I was born, you know, given birthday, right? And she's like, interesting. And then she says, do you have a girlfriend right now? And he's like, because at this point, he's like, okay, this girl is either into me or she's like about to kidnap me and my family. I'm not 100% sure. But if she is more likely into me than not, right? Maybe I should say yes and she'll stop. Or maybe she'll like hunt me down even farther because like apparently like girls like it when you play hard to get. Before Tommy can even open his mouth to give an answer, which to be honest, he was probably going to stutter because he wasn't even sure what he's going to answer to that question because, oh my God, it's layered, right? You know, Sam walks in and he's like, Nat, because that's like the nickname or whatever for Natalie. Nat, bro, why, sis? Like, what? Like, I heard you, like, I just walked in on you asking these weird questions. Why are you being so weird today, dude? And Natalie's like, I'm not being weird. I'm just asking your friend Tommy some questions. And he's like, no, that's weird. The question was weird. You were looking at him or looking at us. I don't know. That was weird. Today, earlier, when we were playing games, she said, I was just watching you guys play games. And then he's like, okay, but then what about a basketball? And she's like, I was just watching you guys play basketball. When you looked up, I didn't want you guys to feel weird, so I went away. And I'm just asking your friend some questions. He's like, nope, this is weird, Natalie, this is weird. I just want to have some time with my friend. Like, can you go? And she's like, okay, that's fine. And she walks away. At this point, like, Tommy was feeling a little weird, but he was also kind of paying attention. He heard what she said, and he's like, you know what? Maybe, right? Maybe she's telling the truth. Maybe she's just a curious person. Maybe she was actually interested in the game. Maybe she wasn't actually staring at me the whole time, even though I caught her staring at me both times, and then she looked away to pretend like she wasn't staring at me, and then asked me all these very odd and specific questions. No, it's just a coincidence. She must just be, she must be normal, dude. Anyways, right, so yeah, Natalie eventually leaves. Tommy and Sam, They go and watch like a movie. It's a chill show. I don't even know. Maybe they, yeah, you know what? They were watching some regular show. I have no idea what they were watching, but that's a bomb show. And honestly, anyone who does gets my respect. If you watch regular show, plus 10 Connor social credit points or whatever. Anyways, right? So they're done with their day, and Sam's like, Tommy's like, thank you, Sam, bro, for having me over. Like, maybe you can come over to my house. He's like, dude, I'm so sorry about my sister. And Tommy's like, dude, it really is nothing. Like, she was probably just curious. Like, it's really no big deal. He's like, thanks, bro. Like, love to have you over again. And so Tommy was walking back home. He was just thinking about the good time he had. He wasn't even thinking about, the sister who was being a little weird. He wasn't even thinking about Natalie for a second, right? And then he gets a notification on his phone. He looks down, and it's from a number that's not his contacts. And it says, hi. And then after that, he gets another text like 30 seconds later. And there's a text saying, hey, is this Tommy? And Tommy's like, that's a little weird, right? He doesn't think too much of it, but he's like, who's this? And then, he sees the three bubbles pop up, and then they go away. And then the three bubbles pop up, aka the person is typing. I kind of gave it away. Shoot. The magical person who we don't know, is typing, right? And then after like 2 minutes, he gets a notification because now he's walking. And he's walking for like a couple minutes. He checks his phone, and like 2 minutes ago, he got a text message saying, not saying, with a winky face, and he's like, red flag, red flag, red flag. Anyways, so he's just like weirded out. And then he gets another text message saying, like, hey, cutie, do you have a girlfriend? And it was like, he was like, no shot. No shot, this is Natalie. And he doesn't send a text saying, is this Natalie? Because she'd be like, whoever this is, you guys don't know. I definitely didn't spoil it a second ago because I'm an idiot. Whoever's texting, probably if it was Natalie, if it was, right, wouldn't want to spoil it, wouldn't want to give it away. So what he does is he copies the number, he takes a screenshot, and he sends it to, Sam. He's like, yo, is this your sister's number? And he's like, what the, dude, like, what? Like, yes, that's my sister's number. I have it saved. I just checked. Why is she being so weird? I'm going to go talk to her right now. And then he gets a text, and it's like from Sam, and it reads, she claims she has no idea what I'm talking about, but dude, that's her number. I'm so sorry. I don't know why she's being weird. Like, she says it's not her, but it's definitely her, dude. I'm so sorry, right? And he's just right at this point. Tommy's like, okay, that's a little weird, but he's just going about his day. He's living his life. He's having a good time. And as he's kind of strolling down the street, he gets a text message saying, you'll regret that. And he's like, what? Context, please? Anything help? What? Just looking at the message like, so he then he screenshots it, sends it to Sam, and Sam sends him all cap locks like, bro, I don't know what's up with her. So apparently Sam then goes and talks to her again. And at this point, she then confesses, and it's like, I'm so sorry. Like, I just thought he was really cute. And Sam's like, this is not how you treat someone who you think is cute. This is also not how you treat my friend. He's a cool dude. He just came over. We're just like all that kind of stuff. And she's like, I'm sorry. I won't talk to him again. And yeah, she doesn't. Subscribe if you haven't already, and then watch another story video or you're bad. Bye. Today's story is about the nastiest sister on planet Earth. It gets gross. It gets revolting. It gets, well, let's just say it gets bad. Enjoy. So the subscriber who sent in this story, let's just call the kid Jake, right? Jake. Jake has this friend. Let's call him Finn. Adventure time. Come grab. Anyways, right, so, Finn and Jake were good buddies. And, one day they decided that one of these weekends they wanted to hang out. And they decided they wanted to go on a hike, maybe hang out a little bit afterwards. And, so Jake decides to go over to Finn's house. And Finn
Finn has a younger sister, right? Finn has a younger sister, and Finn's younger sister, she isn't really into like the whole, stereotypical things that girls might be into at this age. She didn't like playing with Barbie. She didn't like, pink stuff or whatever. Like, kind of like, stereotype of like, I don't know, girls her age, what they'd be into. But she was like, she was really into kind of like, she was into a lot of like stereotypically like guy stuff. And she definitely liked, she wanted to at least in this case, she wanted to kind of like prove to the guys, right, Finn and Jake, that she was cool enough to hang out with them and that she liked similar stuff to them or whatever. And so anyways, right, so Jake and Finn, or Finn and Jake, it just sounds so much better when I say Finn and Jake. I've just heard that so many more times. So Finn and Jake, they go over, or Jake goes over to Finn's house, and they're ready to go on their hike, right? They want to go on a hike. It's, Finn lives pretty close to, one of the, like, some kind of, like a mountain range-ish. Like, it's not huge. This isn't like Mount Everest or something. They don't have to like train for 6 months to go on this little hike, but it's a decent mountain range. There's like some wildlife. It's gonna be fun, right? Anyways, right, so, they get there, and, Jake, he goes over to Finn's house, and, Finn kind of wants to just do this hike with just Jake, right? He kind of just wants to do it just with his friend, but, like, all of the night before, his little sister, who, there's going to be too many names, I'm going to mess them up, so we're just calling Finn's little sister the little sister, okay? Too many names for me to forget, too many names for me to mess up. I'm pretty good at messing stuff up. Anyway, so the entire night before, Finn's little sister was actually talking about how much she wanted to go on this hike. And, Finn's mom was like, all right, Finn, like, I know, like, you just want to go on the hike with Jake, but your little sister would love to come along. And at this point, Finn's like, dude, I don't want my little sister to come along. Like, they weren't necessarily not cool, right? It wasn't like that they were, like, beefing or anything, but sometimes you just want to do something with your friend. I mean, that's totally understandable in my opinion, but Finn's mom was like, okay, like, come on, like, she really wants to go, Finn, like, it'd be so nice if you did. And Finn was like kind of not budging at the time, but eventually, right, Finn's little sister was making enough of like enough of a scene that Finn's like, okay, fine, you can come, but you can't say anything. You can't get in the way of what we want to do, right? And, she was like, yeah, whatever, right? So he's kind of bummed about that. But Finn's little sister was really like, okay, I really want to prove to them that I'm cool enough to hang out with them. Because, right, she wanted to come, but she also didn't want to be a nuisance, man. Finn's little sister didn't like that feeling of being a nuisance. So she's like, all right, I got to figure out a way to, like, prove to them that I'm cool. I got to figure out a way to prove to them that, like, I'm with them or whatever. So, she kind of just assumed that, like, guys like gross things. And the thing is, like, Finn and Jake, they definitely like their fair share of, like, oh, dude, that's so gross or whatever. But Finn's little sister decided that it would be her prerogative, that it would be her duty, her goal, her adventure, her whatever, right? To be basically to do the grossest things possible on this hike to entertain them and to prove to them that she was one of them. And let me just say that she really went above and beyond in the worst ways possible, and it got pretty bad. It got pretty bad. Anyways, right, back to the hike. So Jake gets there, and Finn explains to him, like, hey, dude, like, my little sister's coming along with us. And at first, Jake in his head's like, bro, why? But he was like, okay, dude, totally fine. Right, so, Finn, Jake, and Finn's little sister, they all, they gear up, they get ready to go on the hike. I think, they bring a backpack with them. I think, like, Finn or Jake has it. It has, like, a lunch packed in there. It has some water bottles. It has, like, some sunscreen. It has some bug repellent. Has the classic Bitcoin mining machine because, they got to be on that grind 24/7, baby. Let's go. Get that bread, baby. Let's go. Anyways, on the walk, right, they're hiking up the trail. They just started it. It's a nice day. They're having a good time, man. Like, the weather's nice. It's not too buggy. They're climbing up. They're seeing some cool stuff. And on the way up, right, there's some cobwebs. There's some cobwebs by the side of like a tree or something. And this is the point where, Finn's little sister is like, all right, here's my first opportunity to prove to them that I'm cool, that I'm one of them, that, this is not a mistake to bring me along. And she's like, guys, look at these cobwebs, man. Like, look at this spider, man. And they all kind of like turn around like, oh, okay, yeah, this little spider, like, ooh, whatever, right? And Finn wasn't a big fan of, or Jake wasn't a big fan of spiders, but, whatever. He was like, ah, ha, ha, yeah, look at that spider. And then Finn's little sister's like, watch me do this, guys. At this point, they're kind of like, what? Like, what is she about to do, man? Like, watch you do what? what are we watching you do? And they watch her. They watch her go pick up this spider with their hands, and they're like, okay, dude, like keep that thing away from us, man. Like keep that thing a good distance, man. Like keep that thing away from us. Cause like they weren't a fan of spiders, bro. Like they didn't like, especially like, okay, so like Finn was okay, but Jake was definitely not a big fan. Jake took like 17 steps back, just like rapid fire, boom, boom, boom. But he's like, no, I'm good, bro. I'm good, bro. And she's like, watch me do this. And then she sticks out her tongue, and Finn, who's starting to realize like what his little sister's about to do, is like, what are you doing there, little sis? Like, what are you doing there? And she's like, watch this. And she sticks out her tongue, drops the spider on her tongue, chews. And at this point, like, Jake's about to gag, bro. He's like, like he just can't handle it, man. I mean, and she's like, it's the grossest thing ever. And at this point, like, Finn's like, dude, why would you do that? And she's like, delicious. They're just like, oh. You're probably thinking, all right, it can't get worse than that. You guys are very, very wrong. I don't want to tell the rest of the story because I personally really don't like spiders. I used to really not like them when I was like a little kid. I was like really afraid of them. Like if you showed me a photo of a spider, I would be out of the room in like 5 seconds. And I'm not at that level anymore, but I just don't like spiders, man. Like I get it. They eat mosquitoes and stuff I don't like. So like they're cool. We're not boys, but we're cool, right? But dude, I just don't want to. Anyways, I'll tell the story for you guys. I'm doing it for you. Finn's sister was like, oh, we're not done yet, boys. And they're just like, what? Like, what? What do you mean you're not done? There's more damage you can do? Huh? Finn's little sister, she goes back to the spider web. And you know what she grabs? She grabs the spider egg sac. Oh, God. It's just so bad. Anyways, the story's good, though. I have to tell it. And she takes the spider egg sac. And at this point, Jake is like, bro, I'm out of here, dude. I can't do this, man. I can't do, dude. If I was there with Jake, I'd be like, you know what, Jake, let's get out of here, bro. I'm not doing this either. Anyways, right? She takes the spider egg sac and she's like, watch this. I'm not going to go into the details for this one. Personally, it grosses me out a little bit too much. But she does the same thing that she did with the spider. Dude, I can't even. Okay, I'm skipping over the details. Imagine as much as you'd like. I'm not doing that. Point right. Jake is traumatized. Finn is just in disbelief, and Finn's little sister has this big old grin on her face because she's like, finally, the boys will accept me, man. The boys will accept me. And so Finn's like, you know what? Let's just keep walking. Let's just finish up this hike. Let's have a good time. And, they decide maybe the best call is to keep going on the trail. So they keep walking, and Finn is scarred. Jake is scarred ×2, and Finn's little sister is just sitting there smugly laughing like, ahaha, kind of thinking, yeah, I'm now cool with the boys. But Jake and Finn were already kind of cool with her. They didn't really care. Like, she was totally fine on the hike. Yeah, they wanted to do that stuff together because they're just friends, whatever, right? But they didn't care, bro. Like, they didn't need some validation or anything, especially, like, if she's gonna validate herself, there's just so many other ways to do it besides, I'm not even going into it anymore. But here's the thing. She doesn't stop there. She doesn't stop. Today's keyword is spider, so if you made it this far into the video, comment spider in the comment section down below. I'm going to try and heart as many of those comments as I can, just realize I can't get to them all, and I probably only heart like 30%, but I do spend like a good hour or two on my phone hearting comments. So I'll do my best, but no guarantees. But yeah, if you want to get like farm as many hearts as possible and maybe get top commenter or whatever, commenting spider in your comment or literally just commenting spider by itself is the best way to do it. Also, it's your lucky day. It's your lucky day because for every single person who leaves a like on this video, this isn't a scam, by the way, you will be getting your very own nothing. Your nothing will magically appear right after you leave a like on this video. So yeah, 5,000 likes and I'll do an eyelash reveal. I'll actually reveal my eyelash at 5,000 likes, no joke. Anyways, right at this point, Finn and Jake completely scarred, Finn's little sister laughing away, and they just keep going on their hike. And at this point, Jake, he's just kind of ready to go home. He's seen enough for like 2 lifetimes at this point. He's kind of done. He's kind of ready. He's kind of at that point. And they're wrapping up, and they get to the top of the mountain or whatever, and there's a bit of like a field. There's a bit like not a field, but like a pasture type thing. Not a pasture. Actually, I'm lying again. Oh my god, I suck at this. There's kind of like a field. I was right the first time. And in this field, like it's a lot of grass and like plants and like some trees around the edges, and it's just like it's nice out. It's warm. It's just kind of a nice moment for all of them. Well, it was a nice moment before Finn's little sister decided to make it a little bit less of a nice moment. You guys will see in 1 second. Finn's little sister, you know what she finds? She finds a pile of excrement, defecation. I don't know, dude. This is from some animal, right? She finds some like some doo-doo from an animal. Yeah. And she finds it. She's like, LOL, look at this. And they're all like, aha, aha, aha. They were terrified, man. Because the last time she said, look at this, it was the spider. So they were in just like complete fear. And then Finn's little sister takes her foot, which is, in a shoe or whatever, and just stomps it in the pile. And Finn's like, why would you do that? Like, why? What is your incentive? What is your motivation? Why would you do that? Oh my God. And she looks at them and she's like, do you want to lick it? And they're like, what the fuck? What? And she like lifts up her boot, which is now covered in all this stuff. She's like, do you want to lick it? Did you hear me? Do you want to lick it? They're just looking at her like, no, no, we're good. What? And she's like, if you're not going to lick it, I'm going to lick it. And at this point, Finn's like, no, you are not. You are not about to do that. And unfortunately, she takes that as like a challenge. So she takes off her boot, brings it up to her mouth, and Finn's like, no, you do not want to do that. You do not want to do that. Oh my God, you do not want to. That's please. Their despair, despite their pleading, despite their cries and terror and pain and fear, she ends up licking her boot. And at this point, Jake's like, all right, this is a good time to wrap it up, man. I think this is a good time to go. This is a good time to just wrap things up, if you know what I mean. I think it's time. Okay. Finn, it is time for us to go, Finn, it is time for us to go. And Finn's like, yep, it is time for us to go. And Finn's little sister is just like laughing or whatever. As disgusting as that was, she somehow was like, all right, you know what? Now I'm accepted by the guys. At this point, right, they're all walking down, and they're kind of at this point, right, Jake is kind of speed walking. Finn is like, what happened today? And at one point, like 10 minutes on their walk down, they're not talking that much. But Finn's little sister, right, she comes up to Finn and she's like, hey, Finn, I'm not feeling so good. And Finn is like, oh, really? You're not feeling good? But then Finn's little sister's like, I'm really not feeling good, Finn. I'm really not feeling good. And Finn's like, shoot, like a God damn, of course you're not feeling good. And he's like, okay, let's go. And they get in the car. And at this point, she's like, Finn, I'm really not feeling good. And he's like, oh, God. And so what Finn does is, Finn brings them back. And Finn kind of like says, hey, mom, can we talk for a second? At this point, Finn's little sister went upstairs to go lay down. Finn explains everything that happened, saying that it was kind of out of his control, and like he has no idea why she did that. And Finn's mom is like, oh my God, okay, she's not feeling good. Let's take her to the hospital, right? So Jake didn't go to the hospital with them. Jake was picked up by his mom, and Jake was the one who sent in the story, right? You can send in stories too to my Instagram in the description. But basically, right, Finn told Jake what happened the next day. So apparently what happened after Jake left was that Finn's little sister, and Finn's mom, they all drove to the hospital, and when they got there, the doctor was like, ooh, there's a lot of bad stuff going on down here. And they basically like gave her some antibiotic or something, and it kind of like cleaned up the whole situation. But believe it or not, there's a reason why you don't do the things that Finn's little sister did. There's a reason. It's called You'll Get Super Sick. Subscribe if you haven't already, and now go watch another video. Click on one of the videos on screen. Dude, I'll actually cry if you don't click on a video.